Chancellor sir is also there. Chancellor sir, yes, sir is there.
Sir is there, sir.
Okay.
So, Bhaskar, may I request you to please start with the introduction and the conclave?
Sure, ma'am. Sure. So, good morning, everyone. I, Bhaskar Arora, Associate Professor from School of Management, University of Engineering and Management, Jaipur, welcome you in the International Management Conclave 2021, a platform to introduce the aspiring managers to the new normal in business and society at large. Also, to make them aware of how the management world is adapting to these changes. This event aims to learn from the leaders in the forefront, managing the shift in businesses and technology practices for a more sustainable future. This management conclave will witness the galaxy of thoughts from internationally recognized speakers, as we have with us speakers and delegates from around the world. The conclave aims at bringing together motivational speakers, leaders, academicians to share their experiences in different management domains. Understanding the nuances of management ideologies holistically and sustainably adapting to new normal and analyzing and exploiting the opportunities. As of now, we have more than 500 registrations from across the globe. Interestingly, we have participants from Canada, Malaysia, Nepal, Bangladesh, US, Panama, and India. With this note, I take this opportunity to welcome our Honorable Chancellor, Professor Chatterjee Chakraborty Sir. He is a mentor and inspiration to all of us. Sir, I request you to enlighten us with your words.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am very happy that this University of Engineering Management is organizing such an management conclave. It is almost a mini United Nations. I personally believe that management is a general term, is useful to everybody. It is not only for managers. For example, the just-in-time concept, which first started by Japanese, but now all over the world it is being practiced. Just consider if we could give oxygen support to the patients, COVID patients in time, just in time, or the remdesivir medicine just in time, how many lives could have been saved? As a matter of fact, in management, it is very important for people to take the ownership of the job and do innovation. I will request Dr. Preeti Sharma that you please spend the message that management is not only for MBA or BBA students, but it is for everybody's life. For example, if somebody wants to run a medical store, if he keeps a huge stock so that no customer goes back empty-handed and all prescriptions are filled, the investment will be quite high. So bank interest will be very high. So ultimately, the shop will be closed because it will not make any profit. At the same time, if the stock is less and many of the patients come and go back because out of 4 medicines prescribed, he only gets 3 medicines, then he will not come to that store. He will go to other store. But if we can organize just-in-time supply, that is, you continuously run between your store and the wholesaler and ensure that you have the stock enough to take care of your demand, but at the same time, it is not more. You will find that your store will make profit, your customers will remain happy. But this is not only connected with medical store. This is connected with everything. For example, if a student attend a competitive examination and if he is late, then he cannot complete the whole examination, or maybe he will not allowed to enter. So the just-in-time concept is one of the very important management concept, and I request all of you to take care of this. There are other management in the international management conclave. The very, very renowned professors have very kindly agreed to speak, and I am here to hear them and learn from them management. I am not going to take much of your time because all the participants are eagerly waiting to hear the international famous professors. So I don't want to elongate my lecture. I am very happy that the management department of University of Engineering Management Jaipur has organized this, and many international famous professors and management experts has very kindly agreed to address this conclave, and I wish the international conclave will be very, very beneficial to all the participants, and through participants the message will go to all and sundry. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak and to be introduced to these great people. I am very, very happy, and special thanks to Dr. Preeti Sharma for taking initiative in this international management conclave. Thank you very much. To all success.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable words. Now, I again take the opportunity. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Now, I again take the opportunity to welcome Director IEM UEM Group, Dr. Chatterjee Chakraborty, sir. He is again an inspiration to all of us as he continues to take the IEM UEM Group to the new heights. Sir, we are willing to hear from you. Kindly illuminate the event with your words.
Am I visible and audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. So I congratulate the team at University of Engineering and Management Jaipur for organizing the first management enclave. I'm quite impressed that the delegates who are attending, such a high standard of delegates all over the world are attending. And this certainly speaks of the quality and the recognition of UM Jaipur globally. As our Chancellor sir said, this is a mini United Nations, and it is certainly so. Now, one thing that we must note that management sciences are a part and parcel of the curriculum of University of Engineering and Management Jaipur for all the different streams, not only MBA, but even BTech, even BPT. There are core management sciences in the curriculum. And UM Jaipur prides itself for being one of the very few, not only in the country, but also in the world, to have laboratories of management, practical laboratories in which we, practice management principles like entrepreneurship, like leadership, like, portfolio management, different activities. So all the researchers and students, more than 500 of whom have registered in this conference, they will gain, an ocean of wisdom in this 2-day event, hearing from the top management experts all over the world. I myself am looking forward to hearing from the experts, and I'm very excited to be able to listen to the case studies, because, management, it's a standard practice, a standard best practice all over the world that management is taught using case studies. So there are so many case studies. In fact, let me tell you that IMUM group is at the forefront of creating intellectual property and, copywriting them. And we create so many case studies, more than hundreds of case studies we create for the different events. For example, now a case study is being worked on, a research report is being worked on the Tokyo Olympics. There are many aspects of management in the Tokyo Olympics and how the teams, helped. And we have insider information. We have our alumni working at the Tokyo Olympics to organize the event. So that certainly gives us a bird's eye view and an insider view into the happenings of the events. We are working on research reports on various NASDAQ listed companies and various, stock listed companies throughout the global stock exchanges. There are so many interesting case studies. And through these case studies and through these research reports, our IMUM group, we impart the knowledge. So, this is a standard practice throughout the world. And I invite all of you to participate and take advantage of our case studies and research reports. Please get in touch with us. Please get in touch with Dr. Preeti Sharma. Please get in touch with our Vice Chancellor, Professor Biswa Chatterjee, for collaboration, because we love to collaborate, because it's a win-win situation. So thank you all. Thank you for attending this event. And this event will be definitely, it will be, much needed, wisdom and, top speakers from around the world. It will add to your knowledge and add to your collaboration and maybe generate new opportunities. Thank you all and best of luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now, I welcome our Vice Chancellor, Sir Dr. Biswa Chatterjee, sir. He always stands with us as a strong pillar and motivates us. Sir, kindly enrich the event with your words.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay, actually the problem that was happening was somehow my audio was not being detected, but I'm very happy to see the level of the program that the School of Management is conducting. I'm extremely happy that you people have, as Chancellor sir said, rightly said, that you have almost brought in mini United Nations. Thank you to the School of Management for organizing this. I would say that, see, management, when we do management studies, it is the science that we study. And when we execute it in an organization to hold it tight, we execute the art of it. So management that way is a combination of science and arts. Management has been practiced ever since the start of time, and you will see that large kingdoms were very successfully managed by successful leaders through management techniques, through managerial techniques. But several empires fell down because of lack of science of the management that they failed to understand. Therein lies the importance of management studies. When we teach management, we try to teach students that science which you should use to execute the art of management when you are there in an organization. I'm sure that in this program, from the level of speakers that we overhear, we will learn a lot about this management practices. Thank you, Dr. Arora, for giving me a chance to speak over here. And thank you, Professor Priti Sharma, for organizing this event, Professor Bhaskar Arora, Professor Shweta Parikh, everybody who has organized this event. And I wholeheartedly invite Professor Cherry Lufman, founder, professor and managing director of GIIM New York, Professor Shang Lung Man, who is a professor at National Taipei University of Business, Taiwan, Sri Sanatana Das, the spiritual mentor and a life coach of California at California, USA, Mr. Ram Subramaniam, founder at My Money Karma, Stanford University, USA, and Jorge Devolik, I believe I pronounced it correctly, business instructor at Toronto. I believe I did not miss anybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Bhaskar. Thank you, Professor Sharma, and thanks to the entire school of management.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot. Now, I welcome our Dean, sir, Dr. Anirudh Mukherjee, sir. He has always been a strong support for all of us, wherever and whenever we require. Sir, I request you to kindly say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Bhaskar. It's a great opportunity and a great day for the entire university as a whole, as we are having our first international management conclave today. Well, I do not belong to a management background. My basic qualification does not adhere to that. But however, I would like to quote one of my my management guru. I was in favor of creative management. According to him, the aim of management is certainly should be to innovate. So it is very important for us to innovate, and such management conclave, which I consider not a conclave, I should consider it
Anirudh, sir, am I audible?
disturbance in the internet connection, I believe. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you are.
I missed
So,
out.
yes. Yes, sir, you are audible.
You are having an unstable internet connection. So as I was saying, we need to innovate, and this management conclave, I would call it as a management conference, where we have a confluence of ideas from several stalwarts in this international arena of management. With these words, I would like to congratulate once again the School of Management for holding such a wonderful event today, and I welcome all the keynote speakers for this. Will be enriched hereafter henceforth. Thank you so much, and congratulations once again. Best of luck.
Thank you, sir. Now, I welcome Dr. Pradeep Kumar Sharma, sir, our registrar. He has always handholded us whenever we require him. Sir, I request you to kindly say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Bhaskar. And congratulations to all the members of management department and UEM, IEM family. I congratulate all the students and best wishes to all the persons over here involved in this conclave. But using this conclave platform, definitely our responsibility is to give a message to all the students regarding the management benefits and how the management can improve their employment and their other career opportunities. We must understand the importance of management in reference to our work. We must encourage our students to use the skills they have and to apply knowledge to real life situations. We should be open to listen to others. Patience and resistance to adversity should be present. Always lead in the tough situations. Efforts results in rewards that we should make them understand. Ultimately, growth and development is taking place. Online transaction systems are helping in resolving issues and giving timely solutions and helping in eradication of corruption. We must give overview about the bright side of entrepreneurship also. Due to startups, various employment opportunities are created and help in removal of unemployment. This helps in betterment of economy. Experts are there to teach us, to guide us, and to mentor us towards the right path. There should be a vision and mission to stand out successfully in the global competitive market. And we must make our students to understand that the 5 principles we all should have, that is alertness, imagination, innovation, devotion, commitment. These 5 components, if included in life, will help us to creative and grow. So once again, I thank you all over here who are participating and who are organizing, and I welcome from IEM group family all the keynote speakers who are engaged in this particular process, so who will be enlighten us in these 2 days conclave. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful words. So before beginning with the sessions, let me make you acquainted with the schedule for today. We will be having the first session with Mr. Sanatana Das on art of self-management with Bhagavad Gita. The second session will be with Dr. Shang Lung Man on community evolution in social networks. And the third session will be with Dr. Gary Graham on how COVID disrupted the auto industry. With this, now I welcome our first speaker, Mr. Sanatana Das. He is a monk, spiritual mentor, and a life coach with SCON Bangalore Group. He dedicated his life and has been playing a prominent role in sharing his wisdom for the well-being of the community. Mr. Das has been guiding students, households, corporate leaders through various seminars. Currently, he is serving in California, USA. He is conducting sessions in Stanford University and many more. I welcome you, sir, and request you to kindly take over the session.
Namaste, Hare Krishna.
Namaste, Hare Krishna.
So my video is on and audio is good?
Yes, sir. It's good to go.
Okay. Okay, so first let me take the opportunity to thank all the organizations. It is my honor and privilege to be with you all this morning. Of course, here it is evening. I'm sitting in California. It's night here. Yeah, but it's pleasure to be with you all, and I'll be sharing few of the insights from the Bhagavad Gita. So let me, in the very beginning, give you the disclaimer that I won't come from any management background like you all. I think all the audience here, the students and the faculties, they're all from management background. But still, I would share some of the tips, some of the insights from Bhagavad Gita that really helps in management. And I'll not be talking about some business or other things, but the most important, the most fundamental subject for management, which is managing ourselves. Right. So that's very important, that we go to university, we learn a lot of things to manage, the business and so many other things. But most of the time, people fail to manage themselves. What I mean to say when I say managing themselves means managing the mind, managing the emotions, managing the relations, our behavior, our words, and so many other things. That makes us the complete self. So if we can manage the whole world, but if we fail to manage ourselves, then it's a failure. So I'll be talking on those lines. I have a few things to share with you all this evening within the time limit, whatever is given to me. So I'll request, I would need the share access. I want to share my screen. I have a small PPT to show for my audience. So if you can give me.
Sure, sir. Just a minute.
Okay, I can share now. Okay. Okay, so I'll start with the auspicious beginning by chanting some auspicious mantras and some prayers. I'll just take a few seconds and then we'll begin, because this is the first session and I thought of it's good to invoke the blessings and all the auspiciousness. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyad Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasavi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripatam Ham Vande Shri Gurum Deenadaranam. Okay, so my topic is, as you all can see in the screen, self-management. So we'll be talking about the few aspects about the self-management. The first item, before we try to manage the self, we need to understand what is our real self. So I'll be touching on that. And then we'll understand the real need of the self, what exactly we all are looking for in this life. And then we'll talk about the self-management from the Bhagavad Gita. So for some of the audience, those who are not familiar with this word Gita, so this is a Vedic text, the age-old Vedic wisdom, which has been read and understood and appreciated around the world. So I'll be taking few insights from that holy book, Bhagavad Gita, and few tips on self-management. And then at the end, we'll talk about some practical solutions. So let us understand what is self-management and why is it important. So in simple words, self-management is the competence to shape one's personal development and professional development, right, independently of external influences. So when you go to the university, the college, to the school, to other education institutes, so we become well versed in our professional development. And most of the time, people miss out on the personal development. So it's a competence to shape the personal plus the professional and independent of external influences. What it means to say, when I say independent of the external influences, it means basically, we know from the Bhagavad Gita, the context of Bhagavad Gita is Arjuna and the Krishna, and there is a dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna. I'm assuming the audience understand the basics background of Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna was completely bewildered and confused. He thought, I had to fight against all my family members. I had to kill them, and he was completely bewildered. He couldn't take the decision what to do, what is right and what is wrong. But in that confused state of mind, in that bewildering situation, Arjuna did not blame the people around. He did not blame the environment around. Whether he just submit himself to Krishna and say, please guide me. Right? And then Krishna, he says to Arjuna, this is a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Karmanyavadikaraste ma phalesu kadachana ma karma phal heturbhur mate sangastu karmani. You have the right to perform your prescribed duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. So basically, the thrust of this verse is Krishna is saying to Arjuna that you do your duty. Don't try to be lazy because you are confused, you are bewildered. So don't say that, I can't do this, I'm completely confused. Do your duty, but at the same time, don't be lazy. At the same time, don't be too proud also. So that is the first lesson, in any walk of our life, when we have to do the things, we should be with a complete vigor and the enthusiasm. We should do the complete dedication and the devotion. We should do our duty because we are entitled. We have the rights to do our duty. But at the same time, while performing the duty, we should know that there's so many other factors which determine the results. So hard work is not only the factor. There's so many other factors. So yes, we can put the hard efforts, we can use our intelligence or skills, but there's so many other factors also. So don't be the lazy, but at the same time, don't be too proud also. Right? So you'll see that how it makes sense gradually and as we move forward. Right? So Arjuna did not, stop doing his activities. He was not lazy. He was enthusiastic to do the duty, and his duty was to fight. But at the same time, he was not proud that, I'm so powerful, I'm the top-notch archer, and I did it. No. So that kind of attitude, that arrogance, that is not considered a very positive attitude. And then another thing Krishna suggests to Arjuna was Matra Sparshasthu Kaunteya Sitoshna Sukha Dukkada Agam Apaino Anityas Tam Tatikshasva Bharata. So this is the very first instruction in the Bhagavad Gita. So what he's saying Tam Tatikshasva Bharata. Arjuna, learn the art of tolerance. Learn how to tolerate. Because the nature of this world is very beautifully explained here. It says Sitoshna Sukha Dukkada. There are sometimes Sukha is the happiness, Dukh is the distress. So Sukha and Dukh, they're very much part of this material world. They are like Sita and Ushna. Shita is the winter season and Ushna is the summer season. So the summer comes and then winter comes and then it goes and it comes. Similarly, the nature of Sukha and Dukkha is it comes and goes. Agam Apaino Anityas. So there are two things to understand here. Number one thing is the situations. There are certain situations which are unavoidable. You cannot really change the winter season. You can't really change the summer season. So instead of working hard, putting hard efforts, use your intelligence, choose your battle rightly. There are certain things which is beyond our area of influence. So use your intelligence. If something is beyond our area of influence, then tolerate it. So there are two things. There are certain situations which are unavoidable, and at the same time, it is ephemeral. Ephemeral means it is all temporary. So just tolerate for the time being, and in the due course, it will change. So if you're feeling too hot, just tolerate. Make whatever arrangement you can make, but don't get so panic. Just tolerate it. Beyond your capacity, if you can do anything, don't get much bewildered. All right. So that is how, this is how the Bhagavad Gita begins, with the instruction that learn the art of tolerance. Learn the tolerance. Things are temporary, so don't get panic about the situations. Don't get too elated when you get something in your life. Yes, you can celebrate, but don't get so bewildered again. People get lost sometimes with the power, with the position, with the success, they go mad. So Krishna is saying that in all situations, you have to be equal. You have to maintain the equanimity. Tam tatikshasva bharata. Just tolerate. Okay. So, let us just talk about the first thing now, which is, as we are talking about the self-management. So the most important aspect of the whole discussion is understanding about the self. Self means who we are exactly. So when someone asks this question, it's a very sometimes, very simple and silly question. Sometimes people ask that, who are you? And then we must say, I'm, probably you say your name, you say your profession, you say your relations, or something like that, which is basically your functional identity, which is your body, which is your gross body. You can see here the gross body is which is made out of the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. So this is your outer covering, the gross body. But that is not your real identity. That is your functional identity. Then there is a next level of identity, which is your subtle body, which is made out of your mind, intelligence, and ego. So subtle, why I'm saying it's subtle, because we all know that we are the mind, we are the intelligence, we are the ego, but these are all subtle elements. We can't see them as a gross object, but still we understand mind, intelligence, and ego. So that is also your identity. Sometimes some people say, oh, he's very intelligent man, or he's not so intelligent man. So that is also an identity, right? So on a subtle identity. But you as a real self is something even beyond that, and which is your soul, which is called the Satchidanand, eternity, knowledge, and bliss, right? So the very fundamental thing we need to all understand, which we miss out most of the time, is to understand our real self. We are not this gross body, just gross body. It is just our functional identity that I am an engineer, I'm a doctor, or something like that. I'm a businessman, I'm a professor. Yes, that is important, but that is not your the true or complete identity. So real identity is our soul, right? So as the scripture says that we are not the human beings, we are actually the spiritual being with the human experience. So for now, we are in this human form of life, and we keep changing this outer dress, sometimes human, sometimes some other form. So that is just outer dress, but our real identity, which is our soul, which never changes. So before you get into managing the self, we need to very clearly understand that who is that real self, because most of the time, not only most of the time, whole of our life goes just to maintain and manage our body and mind, which is just outer covering. And we never touch on the real self, which is our soul. So that is the first principle explained in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that we are the soul. And once we understand that, then the whole paradigm shifts. It's not like that you stop doing anything for your body, for your mind, for your intelligence. You will still do, you still continue. But now your whole perspective of life changes. We'll see how it is, right? So as being the soul, we are all, we all have the innate qualities. We are all pure and divine by design, by constitution. But what happens when we come in this material world, there's something called the acquired qualities. So there are innate qualities, which is all pure and divine as being the soul. But then we accumulate the lot of other qualities, acquired qualities. So these qualities makes our personality. So these acquired qualities, some are simple, some are serious, some are very great. Simple are like, we have the habit of postponing some time. And for small things, people, they put their mood off. So that is kind of, some nature people develop in a kind of environment they grow up. And then the serious acquired qualities are people for small things, they're short tempered, they get irritated. The inability in team playing, they cannot get along with the people, they get into fighting, arguing with the people. So that is something very serious, which is not helpful. And the grave are like lacking loyalty, and then some bad mouthing, fault finding, blaspheming, and all of those are acquired qualities which are very, very grave. Right? Now, there is one very common denominator in the lives of everyone, which invariably all of us we are looking for in this life. What is that? So I'll give a few seconds to my audience. If you can think of something in your mind, because here it's I think YouTube live, so I don't think I can interact with the people. So one common thing that invariably all of us are looking in a life. So if somebody might be thinking money, power, position, success, big business, good family, relations, or something like that. But the answer is invariably we all are looking for the common thing, which is the happiness. So Shastra explains that we, as being the soul, by constitution, by its design, we are designed to experience the happiness. And what kind of happiness? It's a constant happiness. Anandam Buddhivardhanam. Anandamayo Abhyasa. We are designed to experience happiness as being the divine soul. But just because we have acquired a lot of bad qualities, okay, thank you. So just because we acquired a lot of bad qualities, we are not experiencing the true happiness. We are experiencing some kind of happiness, but that happiness does not last long. Right? So it says in the Bhagavad Gita again, it says this happiness, the worldly happiness or material happiness it is very temporary. It comes and goes. So we are not looking for this kind of happiness. We want permanent happiness, last long happiness, which should be ever increasing happiness. Right? So how do we get that? So I'll just explain now a few things, very important. If you understand these concepts, it is going to help you a lot. So in the Bhagavad Gita, 14th chapter, there's one chapter, 14th chapter, which talks about the three modes of nature. What are these three modes? As we move forward, you will understand better. So this is called the Satogun, the mode of goodness, and then Rajogun, the mode of passion, and the Tamagun, which is mode of ignorance. So what is this Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamagun? There are different symptoms of the different modes. How do we understand? So basically, these different modes, they influence the person in different ways. So the person in the mode of goodness is a completely different personality. The person in the mode of passion is a completely different personality. The person in the mode of ignorance is a different personality altogether. And as we move forward, you will understand, you'll get the sense that what mode we are supposed to be in. All right. So there are certain symptoms of different modes. So if you see here, the Tamagun, so the symptoms are Nidra, Alasya, Pramad. It means the person who is in the influence of the Tamagun, he is always lazy, he is always mad, sleep, he doesn't take any initiative, and that kind of a person, that is Tamagun. And then there is Rajogun, which is the mode of passion. It is symptomized by Trishna and Sangha. Trishna means a lot of desires and Sangha means attachment. So this person is always driven by, the desire for honor, prestige, name, fame, glory, always very greedy, this kind of people, get attached to each and everything. So that is Rajogun. And then third item is the Satogun, which is the symptoms are Sukham and Jnanam. Sukham means happiness and Jnanam means wisdom. Right? So these are the symptoms of these three gun. To understand it better, how the person behave under the influence of the different modes. So let me tell you this story. The monkey and the cap seller. So there was in the olden days, there was a person in the cap seller. He was going, putting a lot of caps in the basket, and he was just crossing through, pathways. And on the way, when he got tired, so underneath the tree, he stopped and he lay down for, some rest. And he kept his basket of cap aside. And then he just went into sleep. And after a while, when he woke up, then he realized all his caps were missing. And he was quite, surprised that where my caps are. And then he soon realized that all the caps were taken away by the monkeys, which are sitting on the trees with a cap. Right. Now, this is the situation. Now let us see if that person is under the mode of ignorance, which is Tamagun, how he would react. If he is in the passion, how he would behave. And if he is in the goodness, how would he behave? So if that person, he is in the mode of ignorance, Tamagun, then, as soon as he realized that my caps are gone, he will just, start crying and lamenting and cursing himself, cursing those monkeys. And then he says, so, I'm just lost completely. And he just goes away. So there is no, he just reacts so badly. But that person who is in the mode of passion, then what happens? Start yelling at them, he start shouting on them, probably will throw some stones on them, and he'll say, hey, give me my caps. How dare you even touch my caps, and all of that. He'll get angry, agitated, irritated, and all of that. That is passion. And then the person who is in the mode of Satogun, in the mode of goodness, so in the mode of goodness, what happens? Vision first, action next. He would think, he will take the time to think, okay, this is all lost, what can be done? Then he will realize, okay, the monkeys had the habit of copying. So what he did was, he was also having one cap. He took out his cap and throw on the ground. And the monkeys, he just imitated him. So they also, by looking at him, they also took out the cap and threw on the ground. So that is what is the symptom of the goodness. Think first, reason first, and then action next, right? And then the person, the passion, he just act without thinking. You want to do everything. And the person in ignorance, he just collapse. He can't do anything. So that is what is the three different kind of symptoms. Let us look at the various signs of the ignorance, and it can be explained by the different animals. So we see the fox. The fox is generally considered in the mode of ignorance, and these are the different symptoms of ignorance. So this is the test for all of us. If you carefully watch here, you will understand that which mode we fall into, the ignorance, passion, or goodness, right? So these are the symptoms of ignorance: laziness, is confused, is foolish, indecisive, insecure, is fearful, panicky, no thinking, intoxicated, and then suicidal thoughts, madness, depression, hopelessness, postpone, inattentive, and then oversleep. So these are the different symptoms of mode of ignorance. So this fox is like that, fox always remains awake in the night and doesn't do anything, just keep waiting. It never takes any initiative. So fox sustain on, waits for the tiger will go and hunt and eat, and whatever is left over, the fox will go and eat that. So they're always lazy, confused, oversleep, foolish, always insecure, fearful, so that is the nature of people in ignorance, very insecure. Insecure means they keep pulling the legs of others. So similarly, a person who is in the ignorance, that is how it happens. So what is their happiness? The failure of others are their happiness, because they don't take any initiative. So they always wait. If they can pull down someone or somebody fails, and they celebrate their failure. That is what is their happiness is. So that is a sign of ignorance. If somebody is doing like that, if somebody is ahead, then they become envious. How that person can be successful, he's progressing. So these are all ignorance. And then the mode of passion. Yeah. So symptoms of mode of passion is Sangha and Trishna. Sangha means a lot of desire. They're always driven by the desires for name, fame, glory, and they're always attached. And this can be explained by the tiger. Tiger is always very passionate. What are the symptoms? You can just carefully look here. The symptoms, you will understand whether you fall in this category or some other category. So there is a partial thinking, snap decisions, something happens, and immediately they react. They're attached, bossing tendency, thirst for honor and prestige, envious, individual player, angry, pride, cutthroat competition, show, glamour, over ambitious, and all of those things. So these are the symptoms of passion. So if you put a lion and a person in the room, a tiger or lion or a person in a room, either tiger, one of them will survive. Both of them cannot survive. Either tiger will eat the person, or otherwise the person will kill the tiger. Right? Similarly, there are some students. So they're very, very intelligent. They're very skillful. They're very, very talented, but they're always independent. Independent means they don't get along with the people. They're always very passionate. They always want to prove to the world that, I'm the only one who can do that, that I can do all alone. So they don't get along with anyone. And then, some, like when you work in a corporate, there's some leaders, team leaders, if they're very passionate, then, he asks everyone, he asked everyone that okay, give me the way. I'll go and I'll show you how to do this. And he goes alone and he does everything. And all the team members, they ask, sir, what we are supposed to do? He say, you need not to do anything. You just clap for me. You just glorify me, right? So they want to be individual player because they think that I'm the only one who can do, doesn't share the success with others, So this is, he just want to enjoy alone. So that shows that that person is very, very passionate. It is just like an engine without bogie. So engine all alone can go in a very great speed, but it is not really, that effective. It is not so useful. So the team leader is supposed to take everyone along. So one should not be always just driven by passion. So that is the passion. And then we'll talk about the mode of goodness, Satogun, which we all are supposed to be in, which is the symptomized by Sukham and Jnanam. Sukham is happiness and Jnanam is the wisdom. And the cow is the emblem of the mode of goodness. What are the symptoms? You see here, cleanliness. They always maintain the cleanliness. They're very wise, forgiving. Somebody did some mistake in a team, some junior, he did the mistake. They won't yell at them, point them out, insult them. They just forgive them and give them the chance again. A controlled mind, they won't just get agitated for small things like that. Very disciplined, compassionate, controlled senses, calm and clear, very friendly, tolerance, realized wisdom, creative thinking, noble, they're very saintly, they think well and then decides, very thoughtful and very simple. So these are the symptoms which are the symptoms of mode of goodness. So I showed you all this. Gradually we'll see that how, it's so very important to develop all these qualities. What happens if we develop all these qualities? How does it help? I'm just showing you what are the goodness and the passion and the ignorance, but we'll understand gradually as we move forward that how does it help us. Okay, so I'll show you here the slide. So all the noble leaders in the world, so this is all Sattvic people. Sattvic means those who are in goodness. So they're all enlightened soul. They're pure Sattvic people. They're all with the great wisdom. They just share the love, spread the love, share the compassion, enlightened soul. And then there are people in the passion, very aggressive, full of selfish drive, prone to, always very active, workaholics. They want to work for 18 hours, 20 hours. Now people might be wondering here, oh, that's a great quality that we also want to, we aspire to work like that. But we'll understand what is the problem with this kind of work, just being the workaholic. Because in this modern world, this being workaholic is so much fantasized. People think, oh, somebody works for 18 hours, 20 hours. That is a great quality. But we need to understand, we really need not to become the hard worker. We have to become the smart worker. So there is a difference between being the hard worker versus the smart worker. So one should long for becoming the smart worker than the hard worker. Person might be working for 18 hours, 20 hours, but a smart worker may not work for that many hours, but still he might be more, more productive. So these are Rasic people, like commercial businessmen. They are always driven by the profit, the money, and all of that, their name, fame, power, glory, and all of that. And then these are all Tamasic people. They're all lazy, sensuous, and inactive. So the criminal and the lawbreakers. So what is the right balance? See, this Satoguna is all enlightened soul, like some saintly people. Their life is completely different. So many of us, many of the audience here, they won't fall in this category. It's very difficult. They won't aspire also. Now, this Rajogun, which is many people aspire, but not everybody is really that passionate. Those who can work like 18 hours, 20 hours and workaholics, not everyone. And many of them might be Tamogun also, Tamasic people, always lazy, always postpone the things, completely bewildered. So actually independently, either the Sattvic, Rajasic or Tamasic, of course, it is in any way, it is not good. But the right balance you see here, this is the right balance. Sattvic plus Rajasic, they are all noble leaders. They're the great leaders. They're all assertive leaders, principle of values, noble leaders with vision. They have the vision. Because it's not just work alone. Now, please understand this. It is not just passion alone, enthusiasm alone that brings the results. The enthusiasm and the passion along with the direction. It is just like, don't be like a flood, but like a dam. Flood can create the havoc, but be like a dam so that you can control the water. Yet enthusiasm is there, but there has to be some right direction also. If the person, just suppose a person is running, with a great speed towards the ocean. So yes, we can appreciate the look at this person's enthusiasm, the energy with which it is running, but where it is running? It is running towards ocean. It is running towards the ditch. It will fall and die. So along with the speed, which our modern education system or modern society very well provide nowadays, they make the people smart, very skillful, and that gives the great speed. But speed alone is not enough. Please understand this very carefully. Speed along with the direction. You can be going with a greater speed in a wrong direction. And that is what happens sometimes. People realize after many years of their hard work and all of that, and then realize they waste a lot of their time, energy. So in the beginning only, if you are rightly guided, then that is what is the sign of that assertive leader, the great leader. They have that. So this Satogun sounds like the person is sitting very coolly, calmly, doing nothing, very peaceful, shanti. No, that is not the Satogun means. Satogun, the mode of goodness, does not dampen your enthusiasm. It directs your enthusiasm. It is just like a regulator. The gas cylinder with the regulator. There has to be the regulator, otherwise it will blast. It will create the havoc. So there has to be some regulator, right? So the Satogun does not dampen our enthusiasm, but it directs our energy rightly. So this is the right balance, S plus R. Okay, I'll show you one research from the Harvard University. That research, it reveals that how this mantra meditation, it helps to achieve the relaxed state of mind with alertness. See, they have done, so you see on the left hand side, these are the brain waves, right? Starting from 5 and then 8. So this is our brain waves. When it goes below 8, then the person starts feeling drowsy. And if it goes below 5, that is when we sleep. But when it goes beyond 8 until 13, so that is what is called the alpha zone, which is very relaxed and very alert zone. So this is what is highly desirable, that we should be very alert, but at the same time, you should be very relaxed also, right? And beyond 13, if you go, it is active zone. The person is just very active, doing so many things, but not thinking what he's doing. He doesn't know his direction is right or wrong. And then beyond 13, 18, and beyond 18, this is hyperactive zone. So there are some cases that are recorded that, especially in Japan, I know a few cases I read, that people, they fell on the ground when they were all already in the hyperactive zone, and they fell dead. They were so hyperactive, they couldn't deal, and they died on the office floor. So this is what happens. So when we are talking about the Satogun, so where is the Satogun here? I think you all can make out it now. Between 8 to 13, this is the relaxed and the alert zone. So you are not lazy, you are not foolish, you are not dumb, you are very alert, you are very smart, but you are relaxed. So you can think very creatively. Calm and creative thinking is the sign of Satogun. So what we are talking in the Bhagavad Gita, Satogun or science, the Harvard University research is talking the same thing here. So this is the brain wave which falls between 8 to 13 by attaining the Satoguna. So how one can attain the Satoguna? The meditation, the mantra meditation. When some people they're into the meditation, they maintain their goodness. So they can think creatively, they can think of the right direction. Okay, so let us do a small activity, just quick thing, maybe 30-second thing. So you just think of yourself, because again, it is not going to be very interactive that way, because I can see my audience here. So just I'll take, I'll request all my audience, just think. There are 3 things: plan, do, and interact. So you just think about yourself that you are good in planning, you are good in doing, or you are good in interacting. right? So you might be good in all the three, you might be good in the two, you might be good in only one item, or you might not be good at all. So whatever you are good at, just give plus. So if you are good in planning, plus, good in doing, plus, interact, plus. So it can be, you can be the person of plus, 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 minus, plus, plus, minus, 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 plus, plus, something like that, right? So just take 5 seconds and just think of yourself, and then I'll show you the results, and you will understand whether you are a plus manager or you are a minus manager. Where do you fall? Because for doing anything, these three things are required. You have to plan a bit, you have to do a little, and you have to interact. Interact means because you have to do the work in the team. You cannot be all alone, right? So I'm hoping that everybody is ready with their results, plus plus or plus minus or minus plus plus or whatever. You see, you can check out yourself now that what kind of a manager you are. You are a plus manager. If you are plus plus plus, then you are a balanced person. Means you plan a little, you do little, and you interact little. So you are a balanced person. You are a perfect manager, right? If you are plus plus minus, you plan, you do, but you don't interact, then you do your own things well. Then if you are minus plus plus, who doesn't plan but do and interact, then you do others' priorities well. And if you are plus minus plus, then you have good intention, but no work gets done. So some people, they plan, oh, let us do like this, let us do like that. And they sit in a group with the friends, spend hours and hours, a lot of planning, but doing nothing. So your intentions are good, but no work is done. So one of those category will fall. See here, if you are plus minus minus, just planning, not doing anything, not interacting with anyone, how to execute the plan, then you are a daydreamer. If you're minus plus minus, then you're workaholic. Just work. You don't plan, you don't interact, you don't discuss with the people. There can be some better ideas, and something like that, but you don't get along with the people, don't discuss, you don't plan also, you just keep working. Workaholic. Minus plus. Just keep talking to the people around, in the office, you just go around and how you're doing, how you're feeling, what did you do yesterday, did you like this, did you like that, but you're doing nothing, you're planning nothing. So it is very delightful, but it is incompetent. And this minus is the worst thing to have, neither delightful nor competent, right? So the best thing is Satagun, which we saw the plus plus plus. So when a person, he is in a mode of goodness, when he plan a little, he does and interact, and then he's a perfect manager. So this is how we are seeing that how it is important to develop the Satagun in our life, right? I'll show these videos at the end, not now. Look at other few things. Okay. So now look at this time management, because that is also another important thing that many times we all miss out, to managing our things and the time management and all of that. So you see the different quadrants here, the urgent, important, not urgent, not important, right? So look at this first quadrant. This is called the quadrant of action. It means do now. It's kind of, this is called the breakdown maintenance. And suddenly you realize, like you are cooking in the kitchen, say for example, and suddenly you realize that your gas cylinder, there's no gas in the cylinder, and you're in the mid of the cooking, half cooking done. It's a crisis, it's a deadline, it's a breakdown maintenance. And now emergency is being created. Do now, immediately you have to rush and do something about that. So this is called the quadrant of action, right? And then second, quadrant of quality. So in that, what happens? It's a preventive maintenance. Preventive maintenance means it is important, but it is not urgent. Like say for example, you have to submit the bill, something like that. So last date is after maybe 7 days. So it's important item, but it's not urgent. So you can plan, you can decide that how to do that, when to do that, and all of that. So you decide, you take some decisions and you plan. So it's a preventive maintenance that you don't get into the breakdown maintenance. So the important but not urgent. The first one was, it was important and it becomes urgent. It is a breakdown maintenance. And the third one, This is called the quadrille of deception, which is basically you can delegate. Like it is urgent, but not so important. Like sometime, if you are a manager, you have to take care of hundreds of other things. Somebody sending you some mail, some attached file and something, you have to download those files. So if you start, getting into downloading the files and arranging those files and all of that, it might eat up a lot of your time, right? So which you can otherwise delegate to some of your, subordinate. So it's urgent item, but not so important that you only have to do. Somebody can do for you, and you can save the time, and you can use that time in some better way, right? So this is basically you can delegate. And the fourth one, which is not important, not urgent in that anyway, this is basically the quadrille of waste, delete. This unproductive engagements, time waste. Sometimes, people just sit, they gossip, and they just keep, nowadays, people spend a lot of time in social media, which is not really that important. It's a lot of waste of time. So now let me ask you all, we are talking about the three modes, the goodness and the passion. Which quadrille is the quadrille of goodness? Is there any way that audience can give me the answer? If somebody can speak or put in the chat or something.
I'll check, sir, on YouTube.
Sorry?
Somebody answers 2.
Okay. Okay, because I just want to make sure that my audience is with me, because I can see the audience.
Yes, they are very with you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Yes. So people are answering. Some more people want to answer. Maybe they put in some YouTube comment box or somewhere.
Yes,
So
yes. Rakshita Rao is saying 2. Surojit saying I think 2. Jagriti Batra is saying 2. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Yes. So you are all right. So this quadrille of quality basically is the Sattvagun, wherein you plan beforehand. You really don't get into some emergency kind of a situation, breakdown maintenance, but it's a preventive maintenance. It's a self-development, relation building, training and education. All those things happens when you are in goodness. In the passion, you just do the things. It's important and then urgent, and you are in hurry burry, you do the things. And the fourth item is completely tamogun, the ignorance. So one should never get into this quadrille of waste. And the third one is you should delegate. Okay. Let us understand this lifestyle management. So we're talking about this management. Of course, there's a lot of things to discuss, but I'll just keeping the time limit in my mind, and I'll share this few important items I'm sharing here. So what is this lifestyle management? When we are talking about the self-management, the self is not only just one aspect of life. There's so many aspects of life. And if we can rightly balance, like say the spiritual aspect of life. So say, for example, out of 24 hours, we spend 2 hours in some way doing your meditation, reading some, books and all of that. Then you are a good saint. You do your sadhana, you do your studies, studies in the sense, if you are a student, you do your studies, or otherwise also spiritual studies. You do meditation, contemplation, values and commitment. Then you are a good saint. Now, if you take care of your physical aspect, which is like 8 or 9 hours in a day, wherein you are like just as good as an animal, wherein eating well, sleeping well. So eating 1 hour, sleeping 1 hour, and some exercise. Of course, the animal doesn't do the exercise, but they still remain the fit. So just to maintain fitness, we spend some time, and then some miscellaneous activities. So you will see some people, they are very good in this, that they eat on time, they sleep on time, which is really good, but that is not the complete thing to do. And then the social and emotional, that is also another important aspect of life. So you become a good friend. That is also very important, wherein you feel secure, you get empathy, some service, some synergy, which is very much, essential aspects of life. You cannot be completely cut off from the people, you do your own things and you be in your own world, you will be frustrated in your life. So that is also important. And then the last one is mental and intellectual. So basically you are a good, it's a good craftsman, like you have some skills, you read and write, you plan and you visualize, you develop your skills. So if you want to manage your complete self, then all these aspects of your life should be rightly balanced. If you do just only one thing, like you take care of your body, physical needs, then it is just like, the animals also takes care of their physical needs in some way. They also eat, they also sleep, they also remain fit, and they also do few other things. Okay. And somebody is like always, with the friends and doing nothing with friends, and just chatting and talking and all of that. So you can be very outspoken, socially connected with hundreds of people, but then nothing gets done. And then the person who is always, very skillful and just working hard to develop the skills and all of that. Yes, you can be very skillful, very talented, but if you don't have the friends and you're spending time in, developing the skills at the cost of sacrificing your health, your physical, needs, your sleep and your diet, then you get in some serious illness, and that is also a failure, right? So the lifestyle management is managing your spiritual aspects of life, your physical aspects of life, your social and emotional aspects of life, and your mental and intellectual aspects of it. So that is what is the complete balance, and that is what is the complete, a lifestyle management, right? So it's very, very important that we plan, we, we delegate some time for each and every aspect of life. Right. We come to the solution part also, how to achieve that. And I'll just close with few things here. So now, this is given as a beautiful instruction is given in our scriptures about a leader. It can be a leader or it can be any student also. So there's a proactive leader must shun the following 8 activities. What are those 8 activities? It says kamam krodam tatha lobham swadam shringar kautuke ati nidra ati seve cha vidyarthi. So there are 8 items are mentioned which one should shun away. Varjayate, which is prohibited for any proactive leader or any student, if you want to be a successful student. So what is that? Craving for carnal pleasures, lust, and then losing temper, which is anger, kamam, krodham, lobham. Lobha is unhealthy comparison. Lobha is like, see, lobha is not if you have the desire to make a lot of money, big business. That is not lobha. Lobha is like unhealthy comparison. If somebody is doing this, how can I be like him? How can I be like that? And what should I do for becoming like him? So you go to any extent to get some shortcuts and some quick money or something like that. That is lobha. So kam, krodh, lust, anger, greed, love, craving for gratifying the tongue. So sometimes people nowadays, it's a fashion that people, they want to eat the ice cream suddenly at the 11 o'clock in the night. They get tempted, students, or it can be anyone. Then suddenly, oh, let us go and have some ice cream. Let us go to some ice cream parlor. And then, they'll take their bike 11 o'clock. They'll drive the bike maybe a few miles away. They'll go eat little ice cream and then come back 1 o'clock. So just to gratify the tongue, you're just wasting so much of time, which is not something very really important. So a student should utilize each and every moment of his life, very focusedly. So that is craving for gratifying the tongue, obsessed with personal beautification. Now that is also another important thing, which is very commonly observed nowadays. Earlier, there were beauty parlors only for the girls, for the females, but nowadays, there's a parlors for the men's also, men's saloon, and all kinds of things. So basically, see, it doesn't mean that we should not look good, we should not look clean, we should not wear good clothes. Yes, we should look clean, good, handsome, smart, but spending too much time in this personal beautification, people goes to the parlor, 2-3 hours, they just apply some kind of, I don't know, different kind of treatments and something, spend hours and hours in the hairstyle, making hairstyle, coloring hairstyle and all of that. It can be nice, decent, but the spending time, it is not worth, So a proactive leader, he doesn't waste his time into all such silly things. A intelligent student, the real successful student, he doesn't spend his time into all of those things. So these are these are prohibited. Moving in fair for entertainment. Sometimes they just go and sit in some public place, public area, like especially in the colleges and all, there's the Chai Ki Thadi. That is a famous spot, a hot spot for the students. They sit there, they keep just gossiping, looking at the people, commenting on the people, and like that. It's just a waste of time, just a waste of time, and then excessive sleeping. Some people, they sleep, Friday evening and get up on Sunday morning, especially in the hostels and all of that. So these are all a sign of laziness. And then the last one is overindulgence in entertainment. So like TV, watching TV, sports, Facebook, internet, it just eats away all your valuable time. So these are all important things, but you should, fix the time. Okay, this is my time, this is my time slot. I'll check my emails, my WhatsApp, my Facebook, maybe a few minutes and something like that. Don't get into the trap of just scrolling, and you scroll 3-4 hours, which can be otherwise utilized in a more productive way. So that is also another thing. Okay, so with this, we'll come to the conclusion part. We spoke about so far, the three. So we as a real self, we have the soul, and soul by nature, by constitution, is pure, is divine with all the good qualities. We have all the great qualities by design, the design of nature, by design of God, but we have acquired some bad qualities. So those bad qualities also acquired qualities. There are some simple, some serious, some gray. We discussed that. And then need of the soul, as being the soul, is we always want to be happy. But if we are covered with all those bad habits and bad qualities, the bad covering, then we don't experience the happiness. So that covering comes in the form of different modes. So we can be covered by the ignorance, we can be covered by the passion, we can be covered by the goodness. And we saw the different symptoms of the person in ignorance, the person is passion, and the person is goodness. And we understood from all those descriptions that we are supposed to be in goodness. So the person who is in goodness, he's an assertive leader, he's a noble man, he's a visionary, and he's the person where he is good in completely managing the lifestyle. He manages time well, he manages emotions well, he manages his relations well, he manages his health well, and everything well. So for that, you need to develop the Satagun. Right? That is what so far I summarize this. So far we have discussed this. Now, this is the last part of our discussion today, how to develop the Satagun. So the solution is very simple for you to all remember ABCD. Right? Now we'll talk about what these ABCDs are. So it's very easy to remember, right? Everybody would be remembering now. ABCD. So A stands for association. What association means? They say, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, Sangat Sanjayate Kama. You are the average of the 5 people you associate with the most. All right. They say that you tell me who are your friends, I'll tell who are you. So you're known by your company, by your association. So if you are in the association of people, those who are in tamogun, in ignorance, or very passionate, then you are prone to be like them. On the contrary, if you are in association with some people, those who are in goodness, then naturally you get inspired. You look at them, you say, oh, look at this person, he's so well planned, he's so disciplined, he's so calm and creative. Before he acts, he thinks twice. So I should also learn something from him. So that is the power of association. So we should associate with like-minded people, and especially people, those who are in Satoguna, those who are in goodness. So then you become the nice person, you develop the good qualities. And another aspect of this association is, apart from connecting with good people, we should take the time out to associate with some saintly people also. I'll tell you what is the reason. So when you associate with some good leaders, you definitely learn some professional skills. Your professional development happens, but there need to be some personal development also. And the personal self is, as we discussed in the very beginning, your real self, which is soul, which nobody talks about in this world. How to empower the soul. Soul is already, very powerful, empowered, but it is covered. So how to bring out the best out of, which is being covered. So for that, you need some kind of a spiritual association, spiritual discussions. So when we are in the association of some devotees, some spiritualists, those who are practicing meditation, sadhana, reading the scriptures, When you associate and talk with them, discuss with them, ask your questions, seek the clarification, the answers, then you can explore the different dimensions, the different perspective to look at the life. See, life is not all about just, going to college and studying and that's all, and just making money and then taking care of family. There's so many other important aspects of life. So certain aspects can be understood and explored in the association of the devotee, the spiritualist. So that is in our language, in local language, we call satsang, right? We always been growing, especially in India. We all of us might have heard already satsang. Satsang is basically the association of devotees. So that is A. Now B. So when you associate, that helps you to develop your sattva. And then gradually you go beyond sattva also, which is transcendental. And then the second is book reading. So book reading also is another way of associating. So when you read a book of an author, basically you are associating with that author. You are, allowing yourself, you are adopting the thoughts of that author. And basically you're listening that person through the book. So one should develop the habit of reading the good books. It's very, very important. Especially in America, I see, because I go to different universities, here people have one very good quality that I've observed. People have the good habit of reading books. We give them the book and they'll just finish in 1 or 2 days and they'll come with a lot of questions, right? Which sometimes nowadays the things are changing. But in India, people are not much into book reading. But one should develop gradually. We can start with, reading 10 minutes every day or 15 minutes every day. Some good books, some nice books, self-help books, and most importantly, the books like Bhagavad Gita, which gives you again the different dimensions of life, different perspective of life, So one should take out some time, maybe 10 minutes every day. We can read 1 page of Bhagavad Gita or maybe 1 shloka of Bhagavad Gita gradually. And you will see that how your wisdom is, improving, becoming so wise. Your ability to look at the situations and completely changing. You will see that, when you look back a year back or 2 years back, you say, why I just reacted for such a silly thing? And after reading Bhagavad Gita, I'm just, smiling at this situation. So Gita changes your drashti, not your srishti. It changes your internal, not your externals. After reading Gita doesn't mean that your external environment, the situations, the problems, and the challenges will change in life. No, that is not the guarantee of Bhagavad Gita. But it gives us the ability to change our inner consciousness, and that makes a big difference in our life. Right? So we have the example of Arjuna. So Arjuna, before he goes into the battlefield, just to fight, before that, he was completely bewildered. He says, I'll not fight. I don't want the kingdom. I'll just go in the forest. I'll just beg and live my life. But after listening Bhagavad Gita submissively, his complete perspective changed and he got up with a new vigor. So Arjuna was very skillful. So when the person has the skill, but he lost the will. So many of us in our life, we might be very skillful, very talented, but sometimes we lose the will. That is when we should turn towards Bhagavad Gita, read Bhagavad Gita, and you will develop the new vigor to do the things, the new perspective with new enthusiasm. So this reading helps a lot. And the people around the world, everywhere, Gita is not some kind of some Hindu book or something, but this is the manual for the mankind. If we want to understand what this human life is all about, what is the purpose of this human life, apart from, making or living, there is some higher purpose. So this is the manual. One should definitely read this book, and we can start with like reading 5 minutes, 10 minutes every day, make the habit of reading. You can read anytime, early morning, before your day starts, or maybe before you go to the bed. So that is B. So A for association, B stands for book reading, C is for chanting or meditation. So as I showed you the study from the Harvard University, right? That zone, the relaxed zone or alert zone, which can be attained by mantra meditation, by chanting. So this is a very, very powerful technique which has been practiced around the planet by millions of people, and they're getting benefited, right? And there's a lot of studies being done on the chanting, so people chant the different mantras. So basically in our Vedic text, the meaning of mantra is basically the combination of two words, man and tra. Man means the mind, and tra means which delivers the mind. So mantra is to deliver the mind, to have the mind. So our mind is filled with all the anxiety, all confusions, all tensions. As soon as we take this process of chanting the mantra, so mantra has the potency to deliver the mind. You go in a relaxed state, the alert state. And it is not just only our books are saying, even the studies are also saying, there's a lot of studies being done on this mantra meditation, right? So you can chant any of the mantra. Ideally, the morning hours are most conducive, but otherwise also, if you think the morning is too much rush for you, a student or as a working professional, any time of the day before you go to the bed or in the evening after you're back from your college or from your office, any time of the day you can chant the mantra. Right? So there are so many mantras. I personally practice chanting of this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is very, very simple. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is called the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And how to chant? You take one beat, any beat which has 108 counts, and you start chanting on each and every beat the full mantra. And this is called the mantra meditation. So any mantra can be chanted, but according to time, place, and circumstances, the different mantras are recommended. Right? So this is the mantra recommended for this modern age, and is highly, highly potential, very simple but very profound. All right, and as you will see, you can check on nowadays everything is available on YouTube and Google. You can do your research, and then you take up this process. Give it a try. Spend some maybe 10 minutes every day in the morning or any time and just chant. And as I said, it's a mantra meditation, it's a sound meditation. So the process of the chanting this Hare Krishna mantra is, it should be chanted as loud as you can hear. It should not be in the mind. We should chant like Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So it should be a little louder, as loud as you can hear, and try to concentrate and focus on the sound vibration. So this is not the ordinary sound. It's a transcendental sound vibration. So you can practice this. I personally practice this, and I've been benefiting, getting benefited, and I keep sharing, this wisdom, my experiences, and the thousands of people have been practicing this, and they're also getting benefited. Their focus increases. Naturally, basically, it brings you gradually, it upgrade your consciousness from tamogun to rajogun to satogun to goodness, and then gradually it takes you beyond goodness, which we did not discuss in today's discussion. It's a different discussion altogether. But even reaching the state of goodness itself is a big achievement. So just by chanting this mantra, this is the meditation. So this is C, chanting. So A for association, B for book reading, C for chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and D for diet. So that is also very, very important aspect of life. So they say in Hindi, they're saying, Jaisa Anna Vaisa Man. What you eat, you become like that. So we have to choose our diet very, very carefully, what we eat, where we eat, how we eat. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about this also. He says, Yukta Ahar Vyarasya, Yukta Chestasya Karmasu. So Krishna talks about Yukta Ahar. Yukta Ahar means it should be regulated, or eating habits or sleeping habits. Everything should be disciplined. Everything should be regulated. You can eat whatever you like to eat. Some people want to eat some junk food. I mean, pizza, burger, something. It's okay, but eat in very regulated fashion, in a very disciplined way. So we should not be like something you like and you just overeat, and then you might be having a lot of other problems. And so this is what the diet is. So even the food is also in the three different kind of modes. So food in goodness, food in passion, and food in ignorance. Right? Everything it falls in these three modes. So food in ignorance is like the non-veg eating and all of that, liquor and all, this kind of food. And then passion is like too spicy, too oily, and all that kind of food is the food in the passion. And satagun is very fresh fruits, juices, milk items, and all of that sattvic food. So if we switch our diet to the sattvic food, we remain healthy, we develop the good consciousness, we have the calm and creative thinking, and with that we can be more productive, more efficient. We can manage our mind well, we can manage our emotions well, and all of those things. right? So I'll just stop with this. Let me see if anybody has any quick question. And I'm assuming that I'm still on time. I'm not exceeding time limit too much. So maybe we can take a few questions if somebody wants to put in comment or somewhere.
Yes, sir. There are a few questions in the chat box. Radhika Sharma is asking how self-management will enhance our personality.
Okay. So in the very beginning, we discussed, see if if we are not disciplined, if we are not regulated, if we can't, think creatively, we can't think clearly, we just, take the decisions, instant decisions in passion or in ignorance, then you might regret taking some decisions later, right? So if we can manage to come to the level of Satogun, where you are able to manage your consciousness, your mind, your emotions, your health and everything in a more disciplined way, then you come out to be a more productive, more efficient, more assertive leader.
Okay, I think Radhika has got the answer. Now the second question comes from Deepak Sharma. He's asking that how we will manage stress in regular life. And he's praising you, so thank you for the the wonderful sessions and valuable views.
Okay, so stress management, of course, we have the whole session on stress management, but just I'll give you the tips from what we discussed today. So I gave you the ABCD. So this B and C, if you sincerely practice this under the guidance of some experienced people, if you read the good books every day, make the habit of reading good books, and then do some meditation, that will really give you the strength. The meditation helps in managing the stress. So when you chant every day sincerely, make the habit, and gradually we'll see it start giving you some inner strength. And with the book reading, it will start giving you the different perspective. So as I gave you the example of, it's all about the Arjuna. So Arjuna was in complete distress, right? But after hearing the Bhagavad Gita, his external did not change. He was still in the battlefield. Still he was encountering the same situation. Still he has to fight with the same people. But now he was completely relaxed because he heard Bhagavad Gita. So what happened after hearing Bhagavad Gita and learning Bhagavad Gita? His perspective changes. His drashti changes. So there's a Bhagavad Gita changes the drashti, not the srishti. Srishti means your surroundings. It doesn't change that, but it changes your drashti, how you look at the things. So what was making you miserable earlier, you might just laugh at and you say, just forget it. I don't care about this. It happens. You can practice. So reading Bhagavad Gita daily and chanting would help you, in short.
Okay. Sir, can I ask few more questions? Can I raise few more questions? There is a
Sure.
question. Okay.
Sure. I think we should have more question answer.
Okay. Khushbu Agarwal is asking that, in your view, sir, which other holy books are there which teaches us the art of self-management?
Okay, so you can read any of the books of your faith. There's no hard and fast like you should read only Bhagavad Gita, because since I am the practitioner of Bhagavad Gita and I know the thousands of people, those who read Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavad Gita is famous around the planet for all such practical tips. So that is why I recommend it. Otherwise, hopefully maybe the Bible also might talk, but I have never read, though, to be very frank, other books. But I read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Ramayana, Mahabharata. They give the wonderful leadership skills, dealing with the anxiety, dealing with the challenges. There's a lot of episodes, and those episodes are recorded. So when we face in our life all the challenging situation, we can look at those episodes and then we can reflect back that how those people, dealt with all those situations. So yes, all this Vedic literature talks about that. You can choose any of your interest.
Okay. I think the participant had got the answer. Sir, there are more questions. We will mail you, sir, and it's better that we can get the answers via mail. Is it okay, sir?
Sorry, so you're saying what? You will mail the answer?
Yes, I'll mail the questions, sir. There are a lot of questions in the chat box.
Okay. So what time is your next session?
Maybe, yes, sir, in next 5 minutes.
Okay, next 5 minutes. So you have to get ready for the next. or maybe we can take maybe one or two more questions.
Okay.
If
Okay,
you see
sir.
there might be some common questions, you can just merge them in.
Okay. Sir, one Nikita Sharma is asking, most of the youth nowadays don't even know that what is Bhagavad Gita about. So do you have any suggestions or idea that we can convince or aware them to stay connected with our holy books like Bhagavad Gita?
Yes, yeah. So unfortunately, our modern education system doesn't systematically impart this knowledge of Gita and Bhagavatam. That is very unfortunate thing. But that's okay. We cannot just keep crying for that. There's an institution, especially our institution like this Hare Krishna movement or ISKCON. So you can just go and Google it. So we are completely dedicated monks. Those who are all highly educated from different, great universities. But we decided to be the teacher of Bhagavad Gita. So we have been conducting various sessions for the youth, for the professionals, for the kids and everyone. So we can find out in some way nowadays, and there's a lot of online programs, YouTube, lectures and all of that, and you can connect the people to all one of those programs. Would help.
Okay. Okay, sir. Now, thank you, sir, for the wonderful session. It's really, enlightened us. Now, I request Pradeep, sir, our registrar, so please give the certificate of appreciation to Mr. Das. Just
Kindly share it.
right. Sir.
Yeah. Swamiji, thanks a lot for your wonderful speech and your learnings. Definitely your blessings and the learning from Sir Bhagavad Gita will reach to thousands and thousands of students, teachers all over the globe. And what I consider that Sri Krishna ji is the, you can say, the first management guru of entire world. And he took every step to, you can say, the enlighten our world. And even today, Bhagavad Gita is the source of inspiration for millions of people around the globe. And definitely you are doing a, you can say, exemplary work by spending that word of Bhagavad Gita to everyone. And I am just requesting you to kindly accept this small note of appreciation from IEM UAM group. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Pradeep, for your kind words and your appreciation. It was my pleasure to share this wisdom with all your students and all the faculty members. And if the iota of what I discussed can be accepted and implemented in any one of their life, I'll consider this attempt as successful.
And sir, one more request I will do, that whenever you will visit India next time, so please devote some time if you can visit our campus, and physically whenever it will be possible, definitely for the students and the teacher it will be a blessing.
Sure, we'll make it. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Okay, I'll take a leave.
Okay. With that note, now I welcome our second speaker of the day, Dr. Shang Lung Man. He is a professor and the director in the Department of Creative Technologies and Product Design, National Taipei University of Business, Taiwan. He is a PhD. Dr. Peng is an avid researcher in designing and analyzing algorithms for bioinformatics, data mining, and networks areas, in which he has published over 100 research papers in journals of repute. I welcome you, sir, and request you to take over the session.
Hi.
Hello, sir.
It's my time. Okay. Okay. It's okay. Can you see my slide?
Yes, sir. We can see your slide, sir.
Okay. Hi, good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here and to join this international management conclave. I don't know why it's called a conclave, but it's a little bit interesting. Okay. And sorry. Yeah, I'm I'm Shang Lung Man, come from Taiwan. I'm now at National Taipei University of Business. Okay, and I am the director of the Department of Creative Technology and Product Design. If you have any question later, you can write this email to me. Okay. Yeah, today I want to share a partial of my recent research related to social network. I'm sorry that I cannot contribute the topic related to management because my major is in computer science. Okay. But anyway, yeah, today my talk, I will give you the introduction related to social networks and the community structure and the quality functions. And then I will show why the hierarchical community structures work, okay? And show some algorithm for hierarchical community structures. Finally, concluding remarks. So for the introduction, social network now is a very popular medium, you know. In general, I think after Facebook, a lot of engineers work on graph because a graph model is a very powerful model to represent the social network. For example, in this model, node here, node can be an actor or an individual or even an organization. And the edge is the link between two nodes. Usually it's a relation or interaction, okay? So what is the communities in social network? A community is a group of vertices having a high density of edges and a lower density of edges between different groups, okay? For example, this is another social network, and maybe just an example, okay? You can see sometimes, yeah, a cluster of form a cluster. Some people form clusters. Usually we call this cluster a community. Okay. In another area, bioinformatics, it's the protein-protein interaction network. Okay. Also, we can find some clusters there. Okay, so these are two kinds of protein-protein interaction network. Usually, the nodes is a protein, okay, or a gene. Okay, so you can see sometimes some cluster situation here. Okay, in general, a cluster can form a gene team or can be involved in a pathway. So to find such a cluster, in this protein-protein interaction network is also an important work. Okay, so actually this is similar to our research to find the communities in social network. Just the graph, the input graph are different. So the problem is we need to do the community detection. Okay, actually, this problem aims to discover a community structure C of a social network. Okay, so for example, this may be a social network. Our objective is to find, okay, this community structure. Okay. In general, there are two kinds of community structures. One, the left one is the disjoint communities. Disjoint communities means the intersection of any two communities is empty. Okay. The other one is called overlapping communities. In these structures, it allow one element belongs to at least two communities. Actually, this model should be more general and appear in the real world, because I think anyone may attend more than one communities, for example, in Facebook. Okay. Okay. Quality function, why I introduce quality function later, I will show you some results for this one. Quality function is to evaluate a community structure. Okay. Now there are two kinds of function for this. One is called a Q function. Q function is usually for disjoint community structure. And the other is called EQ function. EQ function, of course, is for overlapping. And the E means extend, okay? Extend Q function, so called the EQ function, okay? So this is called Q function. So what is this stand for? M is the number of edges in the graph, okay? And the Aij actually it's the Ij's entry of the adjacency matrix A of the graph. Okay, and Ki is the degree of node I for any I, and Kij over 2m is the expected number of the edges between nodes I and j. Okay. Finally, delta ij is a canonical function where delta ij is 1 if nodes I and j are in the same community. Otherwise, it is 0. Okay. So later I will show you some example for this one. But what is EQ function? EQ function, of course, you can see it is very similar to the Q function. Only here, OI, OJ, okay? OI is the number of communities, okay, that node I belongs to, okay, node I belongs to. So if node I belongs to 3 communities, then it's 3, okay? So let's see some example for this function. For example, this is Q function, okay? For left one, by this formula, we can compute the value of its Q function. So yeah, it's 0.099. However, for the left side, it is 0.1 AA. It is greater than at least 1. So we say it is better than the previous one. So usually we use this Q function to do a comparison for different algorithms. If we have a partition community structure, okay, so we can use this Q function to test which one is better. Okay. On the other hand, the EQ function, okay, we can also do a comparison for the left one. Okay, we can compute its EQ function is 0.1 AA. For left side is 0.135, so it is smaller than the left one. So we can say this structure is better than the structure of left or the right. Okay, so this is EQ function. Okay. In our study currently, to do research related to the community detection algorithm. Okay, for the disjoint community detection, there are a lot of algorithms. This just the latest ones. Okay, yeah. But for the overlapping community detection algorithm, not too many, okay, here. However, among this one, you can see this one, ego, because this algorithm do the hierarchical community detection, okay? So this, now I want to show you hierarchical community structures. So what is a hierarchical community? This one, okay? Hierarchical community structures, you can see this one. It shows an evolution of communities in a social network, okay? So usually we can see it can also be treated as a trend of community integration, okay? For example, this is from the bottom to top. Okay, we can see maybe this it can be a trend if we want to maybe conquer the whole social network. You should where you can do, okay, maybe from the bottom, okay, and the bottom we usually call they are basic communities. Okay, so to contrast such this hierarchical community structure, okay, and in bioinformatics, it's also called evolutionary tree. Okay, to construct such a tree, there are two methods. One is top down. Yeah, you can split the whole social network. Okay, one by one. Okay, you can split the largest one, then the second one. Okay, you have to find some cut to split the larger community into smaller community. Okay. On the other hand, you can do it in the bottom-up manner. Okay, in the bottom-up, we can merge two very close communities into a new one. Okay, then doing so one by one, and finally we merge them into the whole social network. So a general bottom-up approach like this one, we are input a network G, okay? then identify all best communities, and then compute the similarity for each pair of communities. Okay, then we merge the two communities whose similarity score is the maxima. It means they are very close. So then we update the similarity score between the new merged communities and each remaining community. And then repeat this process until only one community remains. This one community, of course, is the whole social network. Okay, so this is a general bottom-up approach. So different algorithm do different step use different steps. So for example, this one, okay, this is an example for this general bottom-up approach. Okay, we are given a network, and then we find out all best communities. Okay, and then we give it its name. By using this name, we can calculate a similarity function like this one. Okay, and then we can find the score with the highest one. For example, this one is 0.8. So this one, okay, it means this one, okay, this one, C3 and C4 are very close, okay. So they are merged. So merge two very close community like this one, and for example, merged, okay. So by doing so, we can remove G3 and G4 and then combine it into a new one and recompute the similarity with each remaining communities and do the process again. Okay, so finally, for example, we can do here obtain the hierarchical structure. So for example, maybe like this one, it means C1, C2 together, and the C3, C4 together here, C6, C7 together. Okay, and then C3, C4, then union C5 again. Okay, so finally we can obtain this structure. Okay. So now I want to show you some algorithms for this hierarchical community structure. Of course, one is the ego algorithm, and with our algorithm. Okay. So actually, the difference is starting from the second step. So for the ego algorithm, we want to find out all basic community. So it's a community, the basic community is all the maximal cliques. Maximal cliques means a complete graph, a complete subgraph. Okay, so at first, for example here, okay, we want to find out all maximal cliques in the network. Okay, and of course here we can find this one. This just an example. This one is a maximal clique. This one also a maximal clique, and then this one, okay, and this small one also maximal cliques. Okay, and in this algorithm, we have to actually they remove all small size called subordinate maximal clique. So what is subordinate? Subordinate maximal clique means this maximal clique is belonging to maximal the joint union of two maximal cliques. Okay, so for example here, these two blue, these two blue ones, they are called subordinate maximal clique because the vertex 2 belongs to the left side, 5 belongs to the right side. Okay, so in their algorithm, they will remove this kind of maximal clique. Usually, they are small size. Okay. So then they use this function m, okay, similarity function 1 over 2m, and then aij. It's very similar to our q function and the eq function, but anyway, it's a well-known similarity function to determine the similarity for any two communities. Of course, to compute just one score for two, we need n square. N is the number of vertices in the graph. Okay, because you can see we have to compute Aij, this ij for each ij pair. Okay, so it's n square time to just compute one value. Okay. And actually, another function later we will use this function called Jacquard index. Okay, Jacquard index. Usually this use the CI at the intersection of CI CJ over the union of CI and CJ. Okay, and why we use this function? Because this function can be computed in linear time. We just use the bit matrix, okay, for each CI, and we do it in linear time, okay. So, for example, here is the ego algorithm, okay. After we obtain this hierarchical structure in the algorithm, we have to cut for it, this one. For each different structure, we can cut them and to compute the EQ value for each cut. Okay, so for example, maybe this one, if this one is the largest one or have the largest EQ value, it means we can cut this one, and then we can obtain this community structure 3, okay, the 3 community. So this is the contribution of the ego algorithm, okay. Later, we recently, okay, we propose another idea for this approach, okay. For find out all base communities, we use the blocks of close neighborhood blocks. What is the blocks? Okay, the blocks is a maximal bikinetic component of a graph. It means if we want to we want to make this graph separate, we have to move at least 2 vertices from this subgraph. So it's called a bikinetic here. So it's a block. So in our algorithm, of course, we find our close neighborhood first, then decompose their blocks. Okay, later I will show an example to you. And then similar to the ego algorithm, we remove all small or it is contained by another communities. Okay. Okay. This is another rule. Let remove all small size CI such that CI is contained in the union of CJ and the CK. This rule is very similar to the subordinate idea of ego algorithm. Okay. So for example here, this we want to do something. What are the close neighborhood if we take vertex 5 as an example. Yeah, this are the close neighborhood of V5. And we can see this one and this one, they are biconnected component. They are two blocks of the close neighborhood of vertex 5. Okay. So yeah, actually, in our algorithm, this is small blocks will be removed, similar to the ego algorithm. Okay. So I give you an example. At first, yeah, graph here. Okay, and we can list all their close neighborhood here. Okay, and then due to our removing do, okay, so can remove our community that are a subset of another community, or they are belongs to the union of two communities. So finally, we have only 5 blocks remains here, and then these 5 blocks here, okay, you can see this one, C1, C8 here, and then this one is C12, and then this one is C16, and then this one is C18. Okay, so finally we can by using our similarity function and the general approach, yeah, we can find this evolution tree for our community structure. Okay. Yes, and finally we can find here the EQ value is equal to the 0.249, get the maximum. Okay. So by doing a comparison with our algorithm with ego, okay, you can see the initial elements we are the blocks of close neighborhood. However, in ego, they are maximal cliques. And actually, the number of basic communities is linear. However, the maximal cliques, the number is 2 to n, is an exponential number. Actually, it's true because in imaging graph, to find the maxima clique is an NP-hard problem. So in worst case, it usually to exponential time to do it. Okay. So our algorithm is very efficient because we run in linear time n cube. But for ego algorithm, it runs in n to k. Okay. But anyway, the final result by the same graph. Okay, our EQ value is just 2.249, but for ego they obtain a 2.257. It is better than ours. Okay. So yeah, it's time for me to make a conclusion for this talk. Yeah. The first issue I want to propose is that are the corrective functions good enough? Or we can see. Let's see some example here. This graph is K6. It means it's a complete graph of 6 vertices. Okay. So if we, because this Q function is just for partition cases, so we do a partition here. So to partition here, we obtain its Q value is this one, okay? So this cut means there are 9 edges, okay, between these two communities, okay? For example, if we move this cut to here, only 8 edges here. So we can obtain a better result. And the move here, a better result here. And the move right, we can obtain, this is the optimal solution. So it's this one, 0.083, okay? So you can see for complete graph, it's a little bit, you know, this like a monotone decreasing, okay, increasing, okay. Yeah. Another example, I just want to show you if we partition it into 3 communities, it is worse, okay? But for this one, maybe better. And then for this one, should be better, okay? And yeah, this one is the best one. So you can see for the Q function, okay, this means the cut edge is, oh yeah, this here, okay. Total, we have 12 cut edge across these 2 community and these 2 community, okay. So if you want to use Q function to measure the disjoint community structure, by this function, you can see we have to preserve more edges in one community, okay, in one community. Okay, this is another examples. If we take all this one, yeah, it's 0.078. But if we do a partition here, decreasing, not good. But if partition here is 0.099, okay? However, if partition here is quite better. So you can see this one, if we want to maintain it, in one community, because these 3 vertices do not have any relation with these 3 vertices. So by this formula, it's negative, okay. However, if we partition here, okay, they are all edge here, and then this maintain all edge here. So we can see this is the best possible for this graph, okay. So for Q function, I'm okay, okay. However, for the EQ function, I just want to show you some example here. Yeah, if there are 1 overlap here, then the value here, okay, 0.036, and if 2, because this original graph is a complete graph, it's complete graph, okay. So for the if we overlap 2, you can see the value is worse, okay. But the cross edge, you can cross edge is greater than 4, okay, 6 greater than 4. However, the value is not a good, not better than this one. So I don't know what the EQ function do, you know. For example, we make more common intersection here, and only few edges, closing edges, okay. So however, the EQ value is not good. Also this one, okay, this one is only 0.033, okay. So you can see you can even find a monotone situation, you know, either this one to here decreasing, but they have more intersection. And if we choose only one, we can get the value larger, yeah, suddenly, okay. So actually, I cannot find any clue for this case, okay. Also, let's see this example here. If this one is EQ function is one, if these two are EQ function here, okay, this is means they have 3 common vertices. They have 2 common vertices. Yeah, so this one so should be better. So for this graph, yeah, we are getting better if no common, just only one is not good. More is not good. Only one is better. Okay. I think the big problem is like this one. Okay. For this one, you can see we have this community share one vertex. The EQ value is 0.188. However, if we do not share any vertex, so we cut here, the value is the same. I don't know why, but I think it's not good. Yeah, that's I think the EQ function, I think it is not good to evaluate this overlapping, but I don't know how to modify it currently. Okay. Another question I would like to know how to determine the best community. You can see in Eagle, they use maximal click. In our algorithm, we use a blocks of close neighborhood. We also try another example, another case which use the close neighborhood. So, but we obtain the worst case. Okay. But why is it different for these 3 basic communities? Okay, and you can see actually the subgraph, they are diameter 2 subgraph. So just connected, and their diameter is 2. However, in our block, it's a diameter 2 blocks. Yeah, it's a diameter is 2, but they are connected. Okay, and for your algorithm, it's a diameter 1 block. Diameter 1 block. Diameter means the longest path length in the subgraph. So you can see here. So how to determine a good basic communities and runs in an efficient way, it should be a problem. Okay, we can see Eagle algorithm just interesting but unpractical. Actually, in we have many cases use the Eagle algorithm, they cannot run. Okay, because due to they have to take a lot of time to enumerate all maximal clicks. Actually, I think in future we can think about how to include other parameters. Now we only consider the order of V, the order equal to the cardinality of the vertex set. Okay, usually we use the order to neglect small size basic element, usually smaller than 5 or 6. Yeah, maybe you know for Eagle algorithm it can do it because the basic community is a maximal click, so it's a complete subgraph. So we can only check the number of vertices in it. Okay. However, in block or subgraph, subgraph means the neighborhoods. Okay. maybe we can consider its size. The size means in the graph, the size it means the number of vertices plus the number of edges. Also, we can consider density. Okay, density is the 2 times the number of the edge set. Okay, this is a vertex set. Okay, so if we can consider this one, if its density is very, very high, some threshold, then we can accept it. Okay. Finally, I want to show you this problem. Okay, how to measure an evolutionary tree. I think for predicting a trend of community integration. I don't know. Currently, we use this approach proposed by Eagle, which find the maximum one and take it as the scope of this hierarchical community structure. Okay, so I have 2 ideas. Maybe we can consider high. Okay, high means the evolutionary time. We cannot to take a lot of time to wait this evolution. Okay, also we can consider merge similar communities in parallel. So this maybe this will cause the final tree not too high. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I think time's up. Okay. Thank you very much for your attention. And currently, I hope all of you can stay safe and healthy. And with this conference, I wish all of you great harvest. Okay, thank you very much. Hi.
Thank you, sir. Should we raise some queries? There are some queries in the chat box. Am I audible, sir?
Hi.
Yes.
You have a question?
Yes, there are some questions, sir.
Do you want to show some slide? Which page or what question?
Actually, that is on YouTube. I'll be just. Can I just say it, sir? I'll be. There is a Nupu Singh. She's asking that is it related to community-based participatory research?
Yeah. You, sorry.
So this concept, is it related to community-based participatory research?
This you say this research
is related to community-based participatory research?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we will going to mail you the rest of the questions. We'll shift, I guess, to our third speaker. Thanks a lot, sir, for the wonderful session.
Bhaskar, I would like to ask one question from sir.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Yes. A very good morning to you, sir. Really a very nice session. And since we have signed an MOU with your university, so regarding that, I would like to ask that what are the opportunities for my students? Like we are having management students. So what are the opportunities which my students can avail after signing an MOU with your organization?
Yeah, yeah. I think due to this MOU, if the situation okay permission, we can do some. So, for example, online course between our 2 university. Okay, or if maybe do research is also okay, doing okay.
So our faculties are very much interested into research work also. And my students are also very much interested into research work. So is it possible for us to have a collaboration for the research papers and the upcoming conferences?
Of course, yes, of course, yeah. Sure, welcome, yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And
Okay,
on
thank
behalf
you.
of School of Management, I invite you to Jaipur, India. Whenever you visit India, please do visit our university also.
Yeah. I have been to Jaipur many times. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
good city.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Over
Okay,
to
thank
you,
you.
Bhaskar.
Okay, ma'am. Now I request our registrar, sir, Pradeep Kumar Sharma, sir, to present the appreciation certificate to Dr. Peng.
A very good morning, sir.
Good morning.
This was a wonderful lecture and a very, you can say, interesting session with the students. Definitely, it will help the student and will benefit them in their journey of research. I thank you for your wonderful session over here today in Management Conclave. And this is a small token of appreciation for you. Kindly accept it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Over
So,
to you, Bhaskar.
Okay, sir. Okay. So
okay,
just
thank you.
thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr.
So
Peng.
it's time to finish this section.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. See you, goodbye.
Bye,
Goodbye,
sir.
sir.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
sir.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Now,
So
I
one
just
request, can we have a photograph with all the dignitaries? So with you,
Okay.
we want to have a photograph. So Bhaskar,
Okay.
can you please initiate the process?
yeah, sure, ma'am.
Can I request all the students also to switch on the camera?
Okay.
Yes, sir. Done, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye,
Goodbye,
sir.
sir.
Over to you, Bhaskar. Gary is
Oh.
very much with us. You may start.
Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot. So I quickly invite our third speaker. So now I welcome our third speaker of the day, Dr. Gary Graham. Dr. Graham is a PhD currently associated with the University of Leeds with more than 15 plus years of experience. He is an eminent researcher in the field of supply chain management. I welcome you, sir, and I request you to take over the session kindly.
Well, thank you very much, Bhaskar. Thank you very much. Right, shall I share screen because I've got my slides?
Oh, sure, sir. Yeah. Now you can share the screen, sir.
Okay. Can you see that?
Not yet, I guess.
Right. Okay. Is that okay now? Is that visible?
Yeah, good to go, sir. Yes, absolutely.
Right. Okay, so I thought today I would just I'll just introduce myself. Like the introduce just said, I'm Gary Graham. I'm based at Leeds University in England, which is about 200 miles north of London, about 40 miles east of Manchester. I've been doing lots of supply chain research for over 25 years now, so quite a long time. And I'm very much interested in, disruptive innovation and disruptive technologies and how they're affecting different supply chains. So I thought what would be interesting today would be to look at COVID-19 and electric vehicle innovation and how they may have affected the automotive sector. This is mainly in the UK automotive sector, but there are lots of suppliers around the world, interconnected, and the parent company of the company I'm going to talk about today is based in Japan, but they have suppliers in India, they have suppliers in China, people in Romania, Italy, Spain, and the United States of America and Mexico. So it's a very multinational corporation. So I'd like to talk a bit about them, a bit about some other suppliers we've been working with in Germany as well. So this sector we're going to look at today, and I thought COVID would be very interesting for people because obviously it's very topical, and we've seen a lot of change happening to the car industry throughout COVID. But as well as COVID, you've got this trend to electric sports cars and electric vehicles. So the segment we're looking at is the kind of high niche segment, luxury car segment, where the biggest disruptor which has come into that segment is Tesla. So most of you will have heard of Tesla, and Tesla's really disrupted that segment. We're also quite interested in this research, looking at things like electronic mobility and smart cities and green infrastructure. So this idea of actually how can you get around a city, without creating as much pollution, without creating as much congestion. But if you think of a city as an urban metabolism, something functioning, and in that urban metabolism, you've got lots of movement moving around. The city's functioning, it's living, and you've got movement underground, you've got movement overground, you've got lorries, you've got trucks, you've got people. So within that city, you've got this kind of urban metabolism and people and movement of goods, of people, of water, of energy, and it's overground, underground, and above ground, and it's continually functioning. So when we talk about mobility, it's not just about people mobility, it's about freight, etc. And it's quite fascinating now that people are starting to challenge the discourse of actually how can we move things more efficiently? Can we move things through tunnels more? Can we move things underground more, etc., to reduce congestion? So there's a lot of visionary thought in that. We're looking at a lot of disruption and uncertainty in the sector. A lot of these car industry suppliers have been making products for a long time. So they've been making exhaust systems, fuel pumps, and now they're suddenly tasked with becoming service systems. So mobility as a service. So providing services using the sensor technology to effectively drive the car differently, using electronics and electric vehicles. I was talking 2 days ago to a procurement engineer at a major supplier to Nissan, and they were saying that they supply lights, the lights of a car. Now, if you think of a light of a car, traditionally that's just been, you put a bulb in and it lights up the road in front of it, doesn't it? You turn your lights on in the car and it just lights up the road, and you drive the car forward, and in the dark it lights the immediate ground in front of you. And now they're actually saying with lighting, that is now seen as the eyes of a car, like we have eyes. So it's not just about just lighting the road in front of you. It's actually going to function in terms of detecting things, of seeing things, but actually feeding that information back into the car. So the lights become the eyes, and they're directing more, and the movement is controlled more by the lights. So the lights are becoming very sophisticated. So we're getting lots of speeding up of product development, a lot of innovation. I'm quite interested in this idea of what's happening on the boundaries with the customers, with the suppliers, and the outsourcing, and the actual performance dimensions are changing. What's happening in the long run, the strategic market adaptation required to new suppliers. So at the moment, car industries compete with each other. You have the original equipment manufacturers. So you have people like BMW, people like Tesla, people like Ferrari, Porsche. These are big players in the OEM market for sports cars. But within them, you have the tier ones, people like Marelli, Calsonic Calzai, all supplying these major companies with supply parts. So you have here a situation of established suppliers. But what's happening by 2030, it's predicted, is that this kind of supply system will break down. And you're going to have things like consumer electronic manufacturers coming in, like Apple. You're going to have new suppliers coming in from China, specialty OEMs like Tesla. So the boundaries are breaking down. You're going to have things like more what we call tier 0.5s, where the supplier is geographically located with the original equipment manufacturer. You're getting the rising of car sharing, e-hailing. So mobility provision is growing. So what we're getting there is a lot more complex marketplace. And in effect, the ecosystem of the car industry is evolving very quickly. And you're going to have a lot more electronic suppliers, a lot more information companies, security services, IS, information systems, people being able to read data and information services. So the whole kind of supply chain is evolving a lot more to an ecosystem, which is becoming very much more complex. So this research was really to look at how market landscape changes, COVID, obviously there, digitalization, Industry 4.0, e-mobility, electrification, legislation, sustainability, UN Sustainability Development Goals. So we're getting lots of changes on the market landscape on the left-hand side here. And then we're interested in one research question linking how that might be affecting product development, and then how that was feeding through to operational and strategic activities here, and then on to performance, and back how that performance in the long run was feeding back into the evolving landscape, how that was actually shaping it and feeding into that landscape. So we're going back in terms of evolution. So it's quite interesting. We're looking at landscape into product development and how that product development is shrinking and how that was fitting into operational short-term activities, and then more into the long run strategic activities, into performance, and then RQ5 back to the evolution. So RQ1 then is how is the mobility trend, i.e. market landscape changes, disrupting the product development process? So that's RQ1. What is the strategic response to e-mobility and market landscape disruption? Oh, sorry. RQ2, down at the bottom there. RQ3, is the vertical make or buy boundary changing? If so, how is management of the boundary different to what went before? So this idea of change, RQ3. RQ4, what is the future of outsourcing in the electric sports car sector? So using suppliers externally. RQ4 is there. And RQ5, how is the existing performance influencing long-run research and development and market landscape strategic adaptation? So it's a very exciting industry. It's going through lots of change, and COVID kind of accelerated that change and led to more disruption. So as a manager, most of these managers are engineers in terms of procurement in the car industry. They come from an engineering background. So they're used to stability, incremental change, solving problems. But suddenly you've got lots of complex issues. You know, for instance, cash flow was a big influence with COVID. A bigger thing impacted on was cash flow, demand collapse, people stopped buying cars. So immediately you've got to try and keep your business going. So what COVID did was lead to a lot of leadership requirements on managers in procurement. So we're moving away from stability to a lot of turbulence. You had demand problems, you had supply problems, you had business model issues, all evolving and fast changing. So what was fascinating, I think, when I was doing the research with this car company, was that suddenly the quality manager was suddenly tasked with not just looking at quality, but generating cash, keeping the business solvent, okay, dealing with massive inventory build-ups in the system because they're not selling cars. So the massive end of finished goods inventory stocking problems. Over 500 million euros of capital is tied up in stock during this COVID period. That gives you an idea of the kind of challenges. So suddenly your purchase and supply chain managers, like I said, often from engineering backgrounds, were dealt with these massive complex challenges of having to lead, having to improvise, having to adapt quickly throughout COVID. And sometimes it's demand challenges, sometimes it's supply challenges, driven often by regulation, which you can't control, can you? You know, your company cannot control government regulation to deal with COVID. So regulation clamping your business model, and in clamping that business model, leading to huge challenges. So we've got all this going on, as well as this transitioning to electric vehicles. So you've got a lot of disruption, a lot of volatility, a lot of uncertainty. So the company we've been doing this research with a diary study, a longitudinal study over time, over the COVID period, from January 2020 to June 2021, is a luxury car manufacturer. It targets wealthy customers who are willing to spend money on very innovative products and technologies. So we're looking at over 40,000 euros plus on a car. This company had been around for a long time in the UK, very established, very successful, but it's got a Japanese parent company. Trends towards e-mobility in a smart city. So like I said, you get lots of change in cities and pressure on them to start working with city authorities to find solutions and not just manufacture cars. They decided to manufacture a new manufacturing line in Germany. They're under a very global company. They've just moved from traditional organizational structures to they've gone from a geographical unit to strategic business unit management structure. So they were focusing on specific areas of the world, on specific elements of the car, like I said, like lighting, like powertrains, like the tire system, the axle system, the power steering system. So what they've done is subdivided the car into geographical areas of the world, rather than just have, you know, an area dedicated to the UK and Europe, an area dedicated to Asia. They broke it down to business units by product type, rather than geographical organisation. And they were well aware of this kind of changing market landscape. So what we did is, I want to just work through with this case study some of the key things, what we were finding. So like I said, just going back to the original diagram, these are the research questions. This is the kind of things we were trying to find more knowledge about product development, about operational activities, about strategic activities, and about performance. So we were interested in finding out more knowledge in those lighter orange coloured boxes. Could we find more knowledge in those categories? And in doing that, could we find some answers to these 5 research questions through this longitudinal case study with this company? So let's take product development. So the first thing is shrinkage. So it's not in that box, but they shrunk the product development down from 6 years now down to 2 years. So from the beginning of COVID now, they were shrinking product development. And why were they shrinking product development? So what was happening during COVID? And we're still going to find tease out reasons for this, is that more customers were buying electric vehicles. So when they started selling cars again in the summer of 2020, from July through to November, until they had another lockdown throughout the world, especially in the UK and then in other areas of the world, they started locking down again, is that people were shifting more to electric vehicles and buying either hybrid, but more so they had traditional conventional vehicles, they had hybrid vehicles, and then they had electric vehicles. So what they were finding is their electric vehicle range, that was having the biggest upswing in demand when we had the first ending of the first lockdown of COVID between July right through to November in 2020. That they saw this growth in electric vehicle purchase. And like I said, we haven't really worked out the reasons for that. We need to do more research on that. But for this car company, what was interesting is suddenly they had to start focusing more on electric vehicles and looking at shrinking their product development. And this will link into problems with things like powertrains. You know, there's just a massive shortage of powertrains. So we had different levels of automation coming into the business. They were bringing in cobots. They were bringing in more Internet of Things technologies, digitalization of the supply chain. They were looking more at the physical digital sector interface, like I mentioned about the lights, bringing in more technologies into lighting systems of the cars. to improve their detection and providing information to the driver. They were moving more to this mobility provision. They were starting looking at more new suppliers and building up joint ventures with technological suppliers of different technologies, like going into the car. So, like I said, we could be driving technology. It could be self-driving and connected technologies, allowing the drive to become more, allowing the car to become more autonomous, to drive itself. So there's a lot of work in driverless technologies, security, payment systems. So what we're saying is that really these suppliers, we need new suppliers. People can provide gaming technologies. People can provide technology we already haven't got, and we're integrating with them. So what's starting to happen as well is that we get this kind of idea that we're looking for creativity and knowledge. So you're looking at the future. You're looking at people who have the knowledge of sensor technology, of batteries and powertrains. Can we integrate ourselves more with these people, which are providing the less tangible products? When people are buying electric vehicles, you're going to have to be doing lots of upgrading of the technology. So again, we need software companies who can provide this upgrading. And there are going to be new suppliers of sensors and batteries. It's going to evolve very, very quickly. Again, we've got to be flexible and bring in these new suppliers. So really, I think the key message for product development is that it's shrinking, it's becoming more complex, and we're bringing new suppliers, and our competitive advantage is less with the production and design and more in the knowledge and creativity. So that's very, very interesting. If we move to the operational activities, what we're finding is we are doing a lot more outsourcing. We've got this idea of make versus make. Do we do it ourselves, or do we? I mean, how much can we make? How much can our suppliers make? So trying to say, the suppliers we've already got are integrated with us. Can we work more with them, or do we have to outsource more? Like I said about the Industry 4, trying to bring in more visibility into supply chain. We're starting to integrate that a lot more. What COVID showed this car company was a massive lack of visibility and reliance on China. So a lot of parts were upstream, lost in supply chain. With the port delays, management of these parts became near on impossible. So there's a massive lack of visibility. Partly the problem of the case firm, but partly because the suppliers have not got the technology and not had the training with it. So visibility, huge issue. And then what they started to do this case company is integrate geographically, bring more of their suppliers closer to them where they can in the UK. So this company is based in the northeast of the UK. It's based near a city called Newcastle, and massive investment from Japan and the government in the 1980s set up the big OEM there, Nissan. But around it, my case firm and these other suppliers are increasingly integrating into what they call a supplier park, and geographically located very close to Nissan. And they've got this kind of tier 0.5 status, where that means basically that a lot of the contracts are given to them, so long as they working with Nissan and following their quality controls with them. So they've got what we call a tier 0.5 status. We're seeing a lot more joint ventures to work with these electronic companies and information system companies, more partnerships, more mergers, a lot more selling of some suppliers who don't cut it anymore, and buying out different companies who may have a strategic advantage on an autonomous technology which we need, or a battery technology. So what we've got there is, I think, quite interesting. Just to go back, landscape change, EV, a long run change with a COVID short run change. You got filtering through to product development and innovation. So one of the strategic mitigations to this was to start saying, let's innovate more, let's outsource more, let's bring in new suppliers, let's try and invest in our future and move forward. But with that kind of process, you've got to be realistic that R&I has dropped dramatically over the last 18 months for this car company. And that one of the first things to be cut is the R&D budget, right? So your profit falls R&D dropped. So we've had this pressure, this financial pressure, as well as this strategic commitment. So strategic commitment to innovate more and shrink development, but then we've cut the funds as well. So that's led to a lot more, obviously, a lot more pressure on R&D and people doing the innovation in the company. So then they start looking at suppliers. So if you work through the system, it's sucking through the system. And then they put pressure on suppliers, remove some suppliers, and then try to integrate with new ones or buy them and build up more joint ventures and strategic partnerships with suppliers and other OEMs to try and compete in this landscape. Sales levels have been hit by COVID. We've had this customer movement. Profitability has been hit during this period. Corporate social responsibility activities have risen, and there's been a lot of pressure on the operational KPIs, which have fallen apart. Things like inventory management, customer relationships, supplier relationships have all been hit hard by COVID. The culture of this company is lean. So most of you will have studied lean manufacturing. And if you think about lean, you need, minimum inventory, reduction of waste, tight supplier relationships, just-in-time operations. All that came unraveled very, very quickly. And that led to the inventory problem the company's got. And this company was shut down during lockdown, but its suppliers are still working. So it still had to monitor and move goods around the world while its own plant shut down for a period of time and then got going at various shift patterns. So again, you've got a lot of complexity that your network's still working while your plant is shut. But just going back to the lean system, the lean led to a lot of pressure. The lessons of lean, I think, for this company are that if you operate lean without mitigation, without dual sourcing, without a lots of digitalization and technologies and visibility, it can be catastrophic. So this firm is looking at other strategies now to become less leaner, to reduce the risk in its operation, operate more dual sourcing, operate more visibility, improve their supplier relationships, look for new relationships, explore ideas of localization and plans. If the system starts tightening up quickly again, what they can do if there's going to be another COVID, how can they mitigate for that, as well as trying to deal with sustainability issues and the pressure from the UN and sustainability development goals. So it's very complex, but what we've tried to do is in this kind of work with this case study is just try and provide a bit of a route map forward for academics and organizations by just saying, right, okay, what are the kind of key activities, what are the key changes, and trying to track that through. I mean, we've got operational and strategic activities there. We might just focus, say, on long run and short run operational or supply chain activities rather than that in the framework. So we might want to revise that a little bit. Again, product development, is that the right issue when we're trying to deal with market landscape changes? We brought that out because we saw this pressure to develop faster. But again, that category there, product development, we might want to challenge that. So this was a framework hastily put together, and it's coming from the phenomenon. It's coming from the case company. It's not coming as such from the literature. So again, we'll probably have to iterate and reiterate and develop it further if we say we're going to publish this work at some stage. So it's very much work in progress. So just to summarize the research questions, so the first one, RQ1, how is the e-mobility trend disrupting the product development process? Well, a clear answer there for us was compression. It's shrinking the product development from 6 down to 2 years. And then with that shrinkage, you're going to have to bring all your suppliers with you. RQ2, what is the strategic response to e-mobility and market landscape disruption? Again, the key one there is COVID-19. Well, we're seeing lots of collaborations and joint ventures with new OEMs, new suppliers, people like Google and Apple, different lighting technology companies to allow them to keep competitive. RQ3, is the make or buy boundary changing? If so, how is that boundary different to what went before? Well, yes, the boundary is changing and it's moving more towards the suppliers and the new entrants. So what I'm saying there is, if you think about a city and the city authorities, the state in a city running the transport policy, traditionally, they just said, you know, this is the volume of traffic, this is the amount of roads we've got, this is the amount of traffic lights and parking spaces. And the car company just looked at the city as a market, people buying their cars. But now the city authorities are saying to these car companies, look, we want you to work with us. We want to start influencing and shaping different transport mobility solutions. So we want more electric vehicles. We want more car sharing. We want people to be doing less journeys into the city for short period journeys. We want less freight in the city. We want less trucks. So the car companies and the truck manufacturers, etc., are having to talk with the cities to look at solutions going forward. You know, what kind of taxi services can we provide? What kind of vehicles can we provide to car sharing systems? We know there's going to be less cars in cities, there's going to be less trucks. So can we work with these companies to provide solutions where there's going to be less volume of vehicles, but then we're involved in providing the services which people need to get around the city. Think of the metabolism concept, you know, that cities are going to keep functioning, people are going to keep moving around the city. So can we get involved with these future visions of what a city is going to look like, how a city is going to function, if we have more green spaces, less vehicles, movement of goods, you know, people spending less time in the city. Maybe people are not working as much in the city, like we're finding with COVID, people working from home more. So let's get involved in these visions of the city, the 15-minute city or something, you know, where you just, people just in the city literally for 15 minutes, you know, in and out. So the city and the consumers are getting more pressure from them, and they're coming upstream into the R&D of the firm, the boundaries breaking down. RQ4. What is the future of outsourcing in the electric sports car sector? I think this is an interesting question for us, which we're finding from the casework. More knowledge, more innovation, more technological know-how, more platform sourcing, and more service capability. So less product orientated, less to do with physical supplies, and more to do with not just services, but this kind of innovation, this creativity, this kind of future scoping. You know, what is the car industry going to look like in 2050, 2030, 2050? What are we going to be providing? What are going to be the consumers of motor vehicles in 2050? Yeah, they're going to be very different to what they are like now. They're also a lot younger generation, young people, young kids, my grandchildren, etc., coming through. They're going to be buying cars. What are they going to want from the car? You know, what kind of services are they going to need? Then the final research question. How is the existing performance influencing long-run R&D and market landscape strategic adoption? Well, the market share is under threat because it's a high-performance car. Tesla is really shaking them up and show them an insight in the future. They're building new supply works, trying to look at this now, exploring, can they have more local and quality-focused networks, more customer-driven? So not just supplying to the market, but supplying directly to the customer. So being customer-oriented. Building R&D relationships and networks with non-traditional suppliers, and becoming a lot more technologically and innovatively driven. So that's right. Yeah, I think I've finished now. Is that okay? I'll try and can I stop sharing screen? Is that right? I think I'm gonna. Yeah. Hi, Bashka. I'll just. Can you stop sharing screen for me? Is that okay?
Okay, so you can stop
Yeah.
sharing.
Are
we done?
Yeah, I finished. If you could just stop sharing screen because I can't get to it at the moment.
Just a minute. So it can be done from your end, sir.
Yeah, I can't find it. That's the thing. Let me just take that out.
So next to chat, there is an option of share a screen. You can just.
Okay, that one made it. Let me just try and. I can't seem to get down for it. That's the truth. Is that it? Oh yeah. Let me just. Sorry.
No problem. No problem. So
yeah. Right. I've got it now. Thank you. Yeah. So I think Bashka, what's really interesting about this company in the area in the UK is I went to a meeting 2 or 3 weeks ago for this research, and they're really they're looking at the area, which is like a place called near Newcastle, which is about 250 miles, so 300 miles north of London on the northeast side of the UK, facing Europe. And that area has traditionally been the hub of the car industry in the UK. But they've always been like manufacturers and engineering. And they've really, what's tended to happen is they've done a lot of assembly of products in that area, which have been made around the world. So obviously the parent company's in Japan, but they've assembled products made in Italy and India and China, primarily China. But what they're starting to look at now is, can they change the area from being just manufacturing focused to actually becoming an innovation hub? Do you know what I mean? So moving the kind of focus of the suppliers and the OEMs to innovation, and how they can facilitate that going forward. So it's very interesting how they're trying to, they can see the problem, the future, the threat to them going forward with this transition to electric vehicles, and also what COVID showed them. So the fear is once their productivity may suffer, once their productivity may become a problem to them, or they're less competitive on productivity and cost, then they may lose a lot of their, their work there. So they're thinking, can we actually become an innovation center as well as a manufacturing center? Do you see what I mean? So it's quite interesting how they're thinking, going forward, and what they need to do to that. Because obviously, if you're going to change that, you're going to have people who can do R&D, do innovation, engineers, etc., who've got those skills to be innovative as well as just make. You see what I say? So it's going to require a fundamental transformation in the infrastructure and the skills, as well as just having the production there. Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Okay. So I guess there are some few questions in the chat box. Should I raise that?
Yes, sure.
Okay. I think Arvind Gupta is asking that the main issue in acceptance of electronic vehicle is the range and cost. What can be the possible solution for that?
Yeah, I agree with Ranger. Yeah, that's well, the range issue, Bashka, in the UK is not a bigger issue maybe as maybe in other parts of the world. In the UK, it's very condensed. As you know, it's a small country. So the average distance of a journey for a person in the UK is 17 miles, right? So the car journey they take is 17 miles. Now, most batteries at the moment can easily go over 17 miles. So in a way, range anxiety is a kind of like myth in the UK. Now, in other countries, because of geographical distance, people will probably travel longer distances, but they're not going to be traveling 250 miles. So most batteries at the moment can do a minimum of like 250 miles. So it's kind of like a psychological thing, which has kind of been hyped up. But the cost is a good one. And the only way we're going to get those costs down is by having a high volume battery manufacture. So I think that it will be happening in India, I'm pretty certain. But in the UK, they've started to invest in battery plants. So we're, at the moment, we've got 2. But the problem is, in the UK, we're not going to need 2. We're going to need about 30. So, do you know what I mean? We're starting. We've still got a long way to go. And I think in India, it'll be the same. You'll be still seeing lots of big battery plants starting to appear, investment in it. Yeah. So obviously, it's like anything else, isn't it? If you follow the innovation curve, innovation adoption theory, you have the innovators, and then you'll have the followers. And once you get to the mass market, the idea then is the cost will come down because you'll start getting more mass production of the batteries, and that will help bring the cars coming, the scale of the car. So the battery production will come down. That'll cost the batteries goes down. You get more powertrains made, they'll start going down, and then you get more electric vehicles made. So the idea is then that the cost will come down with that. But at the moment, you're right, it's a problem. It is a problem. And I think people are tending to hedge the bets when they're buying a new car. They're tending to go for hybrids. A lot of people to try and buffer that risk.
Okay, one more question is asked by Somnath Bhattacharya. As big giants are entering the market, do you think is there any scope for budding entrepreneurs?
Yes, very much so. We one of the guys who was at this workshop we ran 2 weeks ago. He had a small company which provided pulse converters, which go into electric vehicle. He's just sold his pulse converting business to an American firm owned by jointly, well, one of the owners is Bill Gates, the other one is Robert Downey Jr., that Hollywood actor. And he just sold it out to this American company for about something like £6 million. And he's had this company for like about 5 years in the northeast, the Newcastle area. And that answers your question. If you get in the right area of technology and you've got an advantage, these big firms are going to come looking for you. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I information systems, software devices, anything like that, that, you know, you got a right capability, a right advantage, and they need it, they'll buy you out straight away, you know? Yeah. So it's advancing fast. And they need people like that. They need entrepreneurs. So it's good. It's a great time, honestly, to be an entrepreneur in this sector. It's a great time.
Okay. I think a similar question is I asked by Karthik Saxena that as most of the population belongs to middle or lower middle class, when these technology will be accessible to those segment of the society? I think that is a cost, I guess, related to cost thing only.
No, it's a great question, and I think it'll come through, Bhaskar, more things like sharing systems, and which is kind of like counter COVID, isn't it? Really, with COVID, everybody don't want to share anything, and no one wants to travel with anybody else. But I think sharing systems and think yourself, you know, thinking of things innovative. Actually, at the moment, the problem is that everybody wants their own car and everybody wants to drive themselves. Yeah. So you have families of like 4 or 5 people with like 3 cars or 2 cars in a family. And so immediately cost is high for the family. And on an individual basis, affordability becomes a problem because if a car company is just selling to individual customers, they're priced accordingly, aren't they? You know, the price to an individual customer is going to buy it, who can afford to buy it. So I think we need to think about, you know, a lot of cars are stationary, a lot of cars are not used. A lot of cars are a bad investment. You buy a new car, it's, you know, you're wasting money really. The value goes down and you're not driving it that much. Most people don't drive it. So 90%, 95% of the time it's just stationary. So this idea is, can we think of more innovative ways, say, of getting around the city where we can share cars, or where cars become more affordable, or we lease cars on short-term leases. You know, somehow financially make it a way that people don't actually own the car but can use a car to get around and share it with other people, or at least afford it for a short period of time, if that makes sense. So I think we're seeing that with bikes, aren't we? You know, with push bikes and things like that, that, you know, we don't own the bike, but you can, you know, you have sharing schemes or discount subsidies of the bike to get people around. So I think a similar thing might occur with a car, with the electric vehicles, that people start looking at them as a way of a mobility way of getting around, a mobility device rather than something that you own. And this mobility device is part of something linked with bikes, with walking, with public transport. Do you know what I mean? So we try and look at solutions, mixing things together for people and make that more affordable that way. Does that make sense? So innovatively think around that issue. You know, look at visions of actually how can people move around and get to and move around a city or an area which is less reliant on an individual car. That's the way forward. That's my opinion.
Okay, great, sir, great. Okay, so I think rest of the question I can mail you.
Yeah.
So thank you, sir, for the great session. Now I request our Registrar, sir, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Sharma, sir, to present the certificate of appreciation to Dr. Graham.
Thank you, Dr. Gary.
I thank Pradeep.
This was a wonderful lecture and very informative one. I hope it will help the students of the research, and definitely the whole community will be benefited.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Bhaskar, kindly present the certificate to sir.
Yes, just a minute, sir.
Dr. Gary, on behalf of IEM UEM family group, I invite you, whenever you visit India, you kindly do come to our campus, just to interact with the students and the teachers,
Thank
so
you.
that they can be, because in online mode definitely there are certain restrictions, but
Yes.
but in physical mode the students will be more happy to interact with you.
Oh, thank you. Very brilliant.
This is a small token of appreciation for you from whole IEM UEM group. Kindly accept it, sir.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate. Real privilege. Thank you very much. Real privilege to be able to speak. I really appreciate the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And when I'm over there, I love to visit and see people, and we could talk more about the car industry and the future of the car industry, and have your thoughts on that. That'd be great. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gary. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Dr. Bhaskar, please.
Thanks a lot, sir. So I quickly wind up the session. It has been a wonderful morning as we have witnessed galaxy of thoughts from around the world. So I again request Dr. Pradeep Kumar Sharma, sir, to give vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Bhaskar, for conducting this wonderful session today. It was very nice interacting with, you can say, the whole galaxy of renowned personalities over here at one platform. And for this, definitely HOD Dr. Preeti Sharma is to be given the complete appreciation. Dr. Preeti, thank you very much. And Chancellor sir, Vice Chancellor sir, Dean sir, and all the responsible faculty members of management department, all the students of management department who have participated and coordinated for this wonderful effort. I congratulate them and thank you very much all. Thank you, Dr. Gary, and all the resource person over here who has been part of this session. Thank you very much on behalf of IEM UEM group. I wish that whenever you will come to India, please do visit our campus and interact physically with our students to get the most of the benefit for them. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
So thank you everyone for joining the session today. Meet you tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Keep learning.
Thank you. Bye-bye.